All right, guys, back for episode number 2 with Elliot. I had a great first episode with Joey Archer, which dropped out yesterday. This one's going to drop this upcoming Sunday, and I have a name for the podcast now called the TK Podcast. My initials, keep it simple, make it easy. So, Elliot, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Elliot was on my college team. I graduated, but he's going to be a senior at Lake Forest College in Illinois. And he's also from Cincinnati, so I was like, I got to get him on. He's going to Colorado for the whole summer, so I'm like, I got to get him on before he goes to Colorado. So excited to do this. I can't wait to get into it. So a little bit about Elliot. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He grew up playing club soccer, rec soccer, probably from a really young age,
Yeah,
right?
really young age.
Yeah, and then in high school, he went to Walnut Hills, which is like a public school, but it's also like, can you describe it a little bit?
Yeah, it's a public school, but you have to take a test to get into it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, but for all intents and purposes, a public school. So.
Yeah. So Walnut Hills, played soccer there. I think we played against each other a couple times.
Yeah.
And then you also played against my brother, since you're 2 years younger than me. And then you also played for Ohio Elite Academy, so we'll definitely get into that. Ended up committing to Lake Forest College. I remember both your visits, actually. You came my freshman year, and you also came sophomore year too. And then we were teammates for 2 years.
Yep.
We were midfield partners, won a conference championship together. So
Absolutely.
now you got one more season. And so the first question I want to ask is the chances of going back-to-back in conference.
Yeah, I mean, my first inclination is just I think we can do it. I think the expectation is that we do it. Given last year's success, I hesitate because I don't want to put a bigger target on our back than there already is. Because I think people in our conference know that we're the team to beat. You've played on the team. We don't make friends out there.
Yeah,
so,
we definitely don't.
So I think that there's already a pretty big target on our back in terms of what other teams want to do to us. We're the team in the conference that teams want to beat. So to say, a resounding yes, I think we'll repeat, just puts a bigger target on our back. But, I think we're ready to shoulder that. So, I'm confident in our guys. I believe in us. So.
For sure. No, I do too, especially after the season we had last year, which we're going to get into a bunch. And I know they're bringing a great recruiting class in, only lost a few seniors. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I was like the only one that contributed a lot of minutes. So you're pretty much running the same lineup back out. You can, or you have new guys come in. Yeah, so absolutely. It's going to be, and yeah, what he said, I love what he said about the other teams that want us. Grinnell, Knox, those teams, like, I know they want. Knox wants us bad after what we did them in the conference tournament. So
beat them twice in one season. Beat multiple teams twice in one season. They don't like that.
No, for sure. So it's gonna be. I'm excited to come back and watch those games for sure. So, all right, let's get into your early days, like both on and off the field, kind of your childhood. Like, how did you find soccer, get into it, and then kind of develop a love for it, and then talk about off the field stuff too that kind of developed you into the person that you are today.
Yeah, for sure. Growing up, I played a lot of sports. My mom played soccer. My dad did baseball and track. So he never really played soccer growing up. But he started to get into soccer kind of around when I was born, just watching it and stuff. So then by the time I came around, my mom obviously still into soccer because that's what she played growing up, and then my dad was more into it, so they would play it a lot with me. As soon as I could stand up, just pass the ball around in the yard, whatever. And I played a lot of other sports too. I played basketball, I played baseball, I did swimming. So I just kind of wanted to do everything. And my parents are great people. I owe pretty much everything I've ever accomplished to them. They're very successful, so they've and neither of them really came from backgrounds where they had a ton of stuff. So they both had to work really hard, and luckily I've been able to benefit from that. But they've instilled that work ethic into me. So really it was playing all those sports, and then I didn't really think that I wanted to play soccer, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I loved it, but I wanted when I was a kid and I was still playing rec, I came into club a lot later than a lot of kids.
Okay.
I didn't start playing club till around like 6th grade.
Oh wow, that's pretty
So
late.
5th, 6th grade. So sometime around then. So like I wanted to play everything else. I wanted to play basketball. I thought I was gonna play AAU basketball. I mean, you see me play basketball. Obviously, I wasn't gonna play AAU basketball. I wasn't gonna be anything. But you know, and then I wanted to play, you know, baseball more. And then eventually, like, I kind of came around and realized that like I had the most fun playing soccer. And that's kind of like what I was definitely best at. And so from that point forward, I kind of just decided on, you know, once I started playing club soccer, I stopped playing everything else.
Yeah.
So.
What age were you around when you did that?
So that would have been, I think, probably like between 6th and 7th grade. So so around like whatever age that, like 12, 13.
Yeah.
So before that, I was just playing like rec and like grade school soccer. And then I joined, at the time it was just Hammer.
Oh yeah.
So that was before the merger. So it was just Hammer FC. And like Ryan, Coach Ryan, I don't know if you remember him. He's
I think maybe
British dude.
Oh yeah, I actually do know. He was one of the assistant coaches on the Kings.
Yeah. So he was one of my. I had him. I had another guy named Brandon. Another guy named Jack. So those were my early coaches. Ryan was definitely memorable. Maybe it was the accent, but he was like a little bit later. But yeah, so the first like serious experience was with Hammer, and then that was the first time that I was like traveling for soccer. That, you know, we were going around like playing in tournaments, because I had done that with baseball, because I played club baseball. So you know, I'd done a lot of travel for that and stuff, but never for soccer. So that was a new experience for me. But I mean, the work ethic that my parents instilled in me, you know, off the field, I just always carried that onto the field.
For sure.
You know, that I kind of took away from everything that they taught me, that, you know, I don't want to do anything and not be good at it, because it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I'm gonna, you know, put a lot of effort into something, I'm gonna want to be the best I can be at it. And you know, I'm still obviously like trying to get better every day. There's, you know, I have so much room for improvement in my game and in a lot of areas. You know, but I got one more season before it's done, so I'm gonna try and reach, you know, as fulfill as much of my potential as I can, and, and not settle for anything. Just, you know, keep working and
definitely see
what happens.
Yeah, that's great to hear. I was actually similar too, where I played like basketball and baseball too, like growing up, and I started playing club. I was pretty late too. I didn't start playing till like 4th grade. And I know kids nowadays, I mean, they're playing like when they're like 5 years old.
Like
just pre-academy and all this stuff. Like there was a lot less developed back when we were growing up. So, but I was in 7th grade and I was still playing like a decent level baseball and club soccer, and I was like, I like soccer more. I'm better at it. So I had to kind of like just this, and I knew that Anderson was like going to be a competitive program. So I was like, I kind of got to choose, like, I'm going to play soccer. You know? So very similar story. And that work ethic that he's talking about, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, obviously teammates, see it in the games, practice, when we train together, stuff like that. So I can completely attest to that. Let's move up a little bit. Let's talk about Walnut and your OE experiences. How did that help with the development of your game, and also your development as like a person, a teammate, stuff like that? Yeah,
so like I said, so I was with Hammer, and then still with Hammer when that merged with Kings and became what we now have, was with Kings Hammer. And obviously, at the same time, I started at Walnut. So I started there in 7th and 8th grade, because it's a combined junior high school. So I started there 7th grade, but pretty much all the kids that are playing club obviously aren't playing junior high. Because at that point our club is still spring and fall, so you can't play for your school until high school if you want to keep, you know, playing at that high level.
Yeah, of course.
And so, you know, I knew the coaching staff obviously at Walnut. You know, we were close even in 7th and 8th grade. And then kept playing for Kings Hammer, and then obviously started Walnut as a freshman, or started playing for Walnut as a freshman. I was fortunate enough to actually make the varsity squad as a freshman. which
Yeah,
I was really proud
especially,
of.
I mean, Walnut was a good team.
Yeah,
back then for sure. I mean, I remember we were in the same conference, and
Yeah,
Walnut's a good squad for sure.
I was really proud of that.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of the first time that I had been thrust into that high level environment.
Yeah, definitely.
Because with club, everyone's pretty much the same level you are, right?
And age too.
Right, exactly. Level and age are pretty much equivalent. So, but suddenly, I'm 14 playing against 18-year-olds.
Big difference.
And I think that had that first year had a pretty big impact on me because I started the first couple games, but it was difficult. I mean, obviously, like pace of play was difficult to adjust to because I've gone from playing against 14-year-olds to now I'm playing against dudes that can run like 18-year-olds, size 18-year-olds. I remember like we were playing Covington Catholic the second game of our season. We played Wyoming first game, then we played Covington Catholic. And at that time, like playing Cov Cath was a big deal.
Oh, I think they won a state championship that year.
Yeah,
if it was 2016,
they were ranked like 13th in the country nationally.
Yeah,
like they were disgusting.
Really
I remember Jack Stavo's older brother. I don't know, his name's escaping me, but he was disgusting on that team. So I remember like playing that team that's like they're at the pinnacle in the state of Kentucky, and obviously ranked top 15 nationally is like a big deal. But I remember just being there feeling like, I don't know if I like belong here. I'm looking at myself, like, because at that point I was probably about like, I don't know, 5'9", probably like 145, 150.
Yeah.
So, I'd never touched a weight in my life. Like, so, I kind of remember like feeling, a bit out of my element, trying to compete to the best of my ability, but obviously there were some limitations to that. So, as the season kind of kept going, had a few like slight injuries here and there. We ended up deciding it'd be best for me, in terms of my development so I played the last like quarter of the season with the JV squad.
Okay,
so I'd split time between JV and varsity. Which, I mean, obviously at the time was difficult for me because I kind of felt like
it's kind of like an ego hit.
Right, it's like an ego hit. And I mean, since then, other people's opinion matters so little to me now. You get it. Like at this point, like we're too old for that sort of stuff to matter. But when you're when it's your first year in high school, and it kind of like you magnify everything for yourself, right? So like what is a big deal to you is not a big deal to anyone else. For me to think that anyone else at Walnut Hills High School cared about what I was doing on the soccer field is like, I mean, obviously ridiculous, but to me at the time it feels magnified because it's your world, right? So what you deem to be important is what you think other people will deem to be important about you. So it was difficult for me because I'm like, on the one hand, I know, all right, well, if I want to be the best player I can be, I need to be, getting minutes, like meaningful minutes, not minutes where I'm like struggling to adjust to the flow of the game or I'm potentially putting myself in harm's way for injury. Like meaningful minutes where I can actually impact the game, I can be comfortable. And obviously at that point I was going to find that on the JV squad. And so, but I mean, mentally it was difficult because, you've been playing at the varsity level and then you feel like it's a letdown, like you're letting yourself down or whoever. So, physically, I mean, it was good. Obviously, that was a mental battle, though, to be able to, because there were times I'd be showing up and be like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to play JV. Which is ridiculous. Like, I mean, obviously, that's kind of where I belong at that point, absolutely. And so, but in my head, I was like, oh, I don't want to be here, this, that.
Yeah.
So that was a good lesson early on of how to take that hit and keep moving. And so I was playing King's Hammer, and then left King's Hammer to join Ohio Elite my sophomore year.
Okay.
And Walnut, obviously sophomore year, came back into varsity, started every game. Much better experience. and I loved the kids that I was on the team with. Like,
Yeah.
I loved my team.
I know you got some really good friends like Spencer and Caleb.
Right,
that were
yeah,
from
Spencer
the
and
Walnut Hills
Caleb,
team.
yeah.
I know you guys still really good friends.
Yeah,
to this
absolutely.
day.
Some of my best friends.
Yeah.
So, if not my best friends. So, I'm really grateful for that. And a bunch of other guys. I mean, like Walter Maris and Weston and them, like really, really great
Mm-hmm.
players, really, even better guys. So, I'm really grateful for like the team. I didn't always get along best with the coaching staff.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, like me and some of the other guys, just never really gelled with that coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of at a point after my sophomore season, right before I joined, or after so I'm getting ahead of myself. So played sophomore season at club. Played my junior season of high school, same coaching staff, kind of same old.
Mm-hmm.
And with Walnut, we always had a team that was a lot of really good individual players.
Yeah.
But by the end, we never really. I mean, we were kind of like 500-ish every year.
Yeah.
Like, you got us at that level.
You guys never really like put it together as a
No,
team.
we'd never, and you can attribute it to any number of factors, and it's nitpicky at this point. But at the end of that junior year, I was kind of just like, slogging through everything. I was like, do I want to keep doing this?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what I'm getting out of this at this point. Like, it feels like more of a drag than anything else. And then I was fortunate enough, they had some coaching turnover at Ohio Elite, which is the club I joined after I left King's Hammer. And Scott Severing, who was the head of the girls program at the time. And Ohio Elite, I mean, has one of the best girls programs in the country. National champions at all different age groups. I mean, absolutely filthy women's program. I mean, they are so good.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of girls that they send to high level D1 programs.
Oh yeah,
is
every year I
ridiculous.
see stuff like on this. I know like this coach BJ who like trains girls, and he definitely has some Ohio Elite that they're going to play like at crazy schools.
Yeah. So they're incredible, and a lot of that has to do with Scott, and he's also the head coach at Summit, obviously, and we could sit here and talk about how.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Summit
I played
won
them. I bet you guys played them.
three straight, Division III championships.
Yeah.
Move up to a Division II, and then win the Division II championship. So it's like
they're sick every year.
and so obviously a very successful coach, and pretty much they dismantled like the whole boys coaching staff after my junior year. So there was a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I leave? Do I stay? I don't know what to do. Like, all my coaches are gone. It's going to be complete turnover.
Yeah.
This is probably like one of the most critical points in my recruiting. And Scott basically was like, if you trust me and you stay, then I promise you, like, it'll be worth it. And it absolutely will. I mean, he basically turned my entire career around. Like, I was ready to be done.
Wow.
And Scott basically is the reason I'm still playing soccer.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, so he's most incredible man.
Yeah.
Coach, life coach. Like, I mean, I still text him. First time when I scored against Dominican last season, my first goal. Like, he was the first person I texted afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, so what that program gave me, my junior year really kept me playing soccer. And then, senior year at Walnut, it's bittersweet because it was a really positive first half of the year. And then we went up to West Claremont, to play West Claremont. I won't name drop the kid that did it to me. We were beating him 4-0, and he took it upon himself to take that, in the first half, take that irritance of losing 4-0.
Yeah.
Headbutted me in the back of the head, knocked me out. Big laceration on the back of my arm, just bleeding out of my head on their field. I had a really bad concussion, so then I missed like a month.
And that's a lot in a high school season.
That's a lot
like
of a high school season.
Right there,
Yeah, so
it's so short.
Came back. took me like 3 more games to get back into
Yeah.
the starting lineup, just because you're, coming back from that bad of a concussion. Like,
Yeah.
I remember the first time I went out to play, I still felt like so slow.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
just reacting to things.
Yeah,
and
I've never
stuff.
had a concussion, but I mean,
Yeah,
it sounds
it's-
like awful.
it's-
Getting back into the game,
Right,
yeah.
like, because it's,
For
so
sure.
much of the game's mental. It's
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
It's so
yeah.
difficult. So,
Mhm.
that was like bittersweet because I knew it could have been better than it was, but also it was out of my control. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And then senior year, Ohio Elite played like 4-ish games, and then that was it.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I always forget. Like you're younger than me, so obviously.
Yeah, it was really random.
So,
Just
yeah.
played a game in Toledo, came back, and that was the last time I played for
That's
them.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually
So,
crazy. Yeah.
Didn't have the spring season pretty much at all.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
that was pretty much it.
Oh, well, that's great to hear about your journey, like through high school
Yeah.
in Ohio. I didn't know anything about how you almost stopped playing.
Yeah, it was
really
a
didn't know.
lot. It was a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think the good thing is like now that you talk about it, how like you were on varsity as a freshman, but then you got kind of put down to the JV team. To be able to like look at that now as like a positive,
Right.
It's like just so because I think some people now would still be like, oh, I was on varsity, but then they dropped me to JV and still be like pissed
Mhm.
about it. But you're like looked at as a positive because like you're like I can get more better here.
Yeah.
Than if I was just staying on the varsity team and like maybe not playing or not being myself. You know.
Yeah, and
playing
I mean,
those
and like
games.
that JV team, like it had a ton of kids.
The
that were
JV team was good.
just as good as.
Oh
I,
yeah,
like,
the JV team was
absolutely.
good. I mean, every year like I played on JV against you guys. I mean, it was always like a really close game.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
I mean,
Like, for
so
sure.
I mean, it was still an incredible environment, and I'm so grateful that I did that. But I mean, obviously, my perspective on it now is completely.
Oh
different,
yeah, of course, yeah.
than it was then.
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Well, it shows the maturity, obviously, that you have, and yeah. So we're gonna keep moving on. I want to stay a little bit with the high school stuff. When and why did you decide to play soccer in college? Was that around the time when Scott like kind of had a big impact on your life?
I mean, I think it was before that. I'd wanted to play. I guess kind of around like freshman, sophomore year, I kind of decided that I wanted. My end goal was to play in college.
Yeah.
At whatever level that was. I mean, I just figured if I was going to put this much effort into soccer, and because when you're playing club at a high level, like it does kind of even at that point take away like from just kind of being a kid in certain aspects.
I mean
'cause-
traveling games every
Right,
weekend,
like every
like,
weekend,
for most. I mean honestly, like you play high school, you get immediately into club right after
Right.
the season ends. You train you play some tournaments, train the whole winter, and then you play in like the spring,
Right.
leading in, and then you're back. At least for when I was at Anderson, we were back with Anderson like June 1st.
Right,
The
exactly.
whole 5 days a week, the
Whole
whole
summer.
summer, you know.
And
so
it's at night too, so it's
yeah,
like
it's like a job,
right,
practically,
basically. And it's like,
Yeah.
and with OE, like we would travel on a bus, so the parents wouldn't come. So it's like,
wow, I didn't.
so
yeah, that's
like,
cool.
and it was pretty much every weekend because it was ECNL. So
Yeah, you guys are going all over the place.
so
yeah.
it's like, I mean, that's like not only weekends that I'm like not doing stuff like socially like a high school kid. Like I'm not with my family.
yeah,
either.
yeah.
So I basically was like, if I'm gonna put this much effort into this, then I want to take it as far as I can
Mhm.
and extract as much out of it for myself as I can. And so it was like freshman, sophomore year is when I knew I wanted to play in college. And then I had that kind of dip junior year where I
Mhm.
was like, I don't really know anymore. Because I mean, realistically, like I knew the level that I was at.
Yeah.
Like, and so, I kind of had to decide. I was like, well, do I want to go to like a big D1 school and have the college experience?
Mhm.
Because if I do that, then I'm not playing because
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
good
yeah,
enough
for sure.
to. I mean, you have to be cognizant of your own level.
Yeah. Oh,
in
yeah.
making
You can't be
these decisions.
delusional
Like,
because then there's no point.
right. Like,
you
so
know?
I'm like, I'm not good enough to do that.
Yeah.
So, do I want to do that? Or do I want to, go to a smaller school and continue to play?
Mhm.
And, I didn't really know. And I wanted to go, and then I didn't want to go. And then, once I was with Scott, and then sort of, I would sit there and think, I'd be like, well, do I want to go to a big school, or do I want to keep playing soccer? And it was always like, I want to keep playing soccer.
Yeah.
Like it made me more sad to think like, well, my soccer career could be done in 2 months,
Mhm.
than to think I'm not going to go to like a big
Yeah.
big
yeah.
D1.
For sure.
When I was like, I'm not going to go to a big D1 school, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
And then when I was like, I'm not gonna play soccer anymore, like it was such a big part of my life at that point that I was, didn't want to stop playing. So, wanted to play, didn't want to play, and then kind of like rekindled that desire to play again.
For sure, yeah. But I was similar with me. I didn't really have a dip, but I think I was. So after my sophomore year, like high school season, I kind of decided I was like, I want to play. Yeah. And then I started like getting recruited and whatever, and I was like, for sure, like I'd rather go to a smaller school and play than go to a big school and not. And I think like we'll talk about this more, but I made a video about this on this channel, and I was like, I think playing a sport in college like teaches you so much about life that you're not gonna get at a bigger school if you're just in like a frat or something. Yeah. Because when you're on like a team like we are, you have to like learn how to deal with people. You have to learn how to go through adversity, like individually and as the team in general. Like if we're losing or if you're not playing or I'm not playing or whatever. And I think you just learn so much more about life.
Yeah, no, it's a crazy.
And that's why I recommend like for anybody that's like younger, like if you're good enough, obviously you have to be good enough. You know, like being delusional is not good, but if you're good enough, if you know you're good enough, I mean, playing sport in college changed my life, made it a lot better, and I bet you could say the same for yourself. Absolutely. So for sure. Continuing on like with the recruiting stuff, just talk to me a little bit more about like how Lake Forest College came about, the kind of the process of how you got in contact with them, visits, and then when you ended up committing.
Yeah, so Dan was actually the first coach I ever talked to, collegiate coach. So that was actually my sophomore year, spring of my sophomore year, so our club season. So that was my first season with Ohio Elite. And we were playing in the ECNL at that point. It was the first year of ECNL on the boys' side. And so one of the teams in our region or our conference was Scott Gallagher down in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And so obviously Scott Gallagher has this gigantic showcase they do every year. Yeah. It's a big deal. And so, they were fortunate, or we were fortunate enough that they organized it so that the games that we had to go down to St. Louis to play Scott Gallagher, because there was a lot of home and away stuff. We'd go down, play 2 games. The next year they'd come up and play 2 games, so we didn't have to go to both places. We were going to go down there, come back. They were going to come back at a later date, and they said, how about, you guys come down here the same weekend that we have the big showcase so that all the coaches will be there.
Oh, that's sweet, yeah.
And you just play both games down here. That way, both teams don't have to travel back and forth. So obviously we said yes to that because, it makes a ton of sense because that, that event obviously draws a ton of coaches.
For sure.
So I was kind of just scrolling through, because when you're a sophomore, you send out a lot of emails to coaches and you don't necessarily expect to hear a lot back. You're still pretty young at that point. So, but, I was like scrolling through and I saw Lake Forest. I never heard of it before. But, they had like a picture of each school too. And it was like some picture of like Brown Hall. And I was like, this. It was like the overhead shot where you could like see Brown and the lake, in all the marketing materials. And I was like, wow, this looks awesome. This looks sick. Like this is the lakes, like Lake Michigan's right there. Like I could see a beach. Like there's trees everywhere. Like it looks so cool. So, just based on that, I didn't look at anything else.
Yeah.
Just based on that, because I didn't expect anybody to answer me. Yeah. So I just I emailed Dan. Kind of the same email I was sending, because at that point I was still sending pretty general emails just because, trying to cast as wide net as possible. I was still sophomore. But Dan actually responded and was like, hey, we're going to come to this game, or I'm going to come to this game and come watch you. And so I was like, sweet. So he came to the game. I saw that he was there. And I mean, luckily just this game worked out that I played really well. And so I actually... We were up like 2-0 or something, and there were like 5 minutes left, and I was like, and Dan was still there, and I was like, all right, is he still gonna be here after the game? Like, it'd probably be a good idea if I could like talk to him, and so I went up for a header, and I came down on my back, and it like kind of knocked the wind out of me because I got kind of knocked over. And there were like probably like 3-4 minutes left, and I just remember thinking, I was like, I could just go off right now and then I could really talk to him. So I kind of motioned my coach for a sub. I pointed my back and I was like, my back. So I got a sub. I came out And he was posted up next to like this little Gatorade stand they had. So I went over to the Gatorade stand and I just kind of like looked up at him. And he's like, "Are you Elliot?" I was like, "Oh yeah, no way! Like, what's up, man? Nice to see you." Like, I definitely didn't orchestrate this for myself by like faking this injury to come out the game and like come over and talk to you. So, but we connected right away, and then I continued to follow. We continued to have conversations. And I looked at a lot of other schools. Connecticut College was
I know you talked about that a lot.
Another top choice of mine. Swanee, which is in Tennessee, it's pretty similar. It's not a D3 school. Those were really my top three. I looked at like obviously like some of the Ohio D3s, like the OAC schools, right? Yeah. So, and then actually I went on my 2 visits to Lake Forest. Obviously, you were there for both of them. Really liked the group of guys, liked the level I saw there. Got on really well with the professors that I talked to. And, was fortunate enough, they told me the financial aid that I would get, and it made a lot of sense. And and so I kind of just decided. And it's also, I mean, it's like it's a relatively stressful process because you don't know where a lot of coaches are at on their end. You don't know like how much of a priority you are a lot. Like,
for sure.
Some of the schools I would talk to, and there were more than the 3 I mentioned, but like some of them, you don't know where you stand. And Dan would always kind of tell me where I stood with Lake Forest, which was really nice. But I kind of got to the point at the end of before I went into my senior year of high school. And I kind of decided, I was like, I feel like this is kind of not allowing me to play as well as I could be because I'm always focused
just
on
like cloud over your head.
Right, like I'm always thinking about like impressing a coach and not like just playing within myself. And even though I was cognizant of that, it was hard for me to like get out of that mentality. And so I decided before my senior years, I actually remember, so I was my room used to be this like light blue color, and I hated it. And so like before my senior year of high school started, I decided I was going to repaint it. And so I went to Ace Hardware to get paint to repaint it. I actually called Dan. Like I texted Dan earlier in the day, and I was like, "Hey, like, I think I've decided I want to come to Lake Forest. Like, how do I go about like committing to you guys and whatever?" And he was like. And I was just waiting for him to text me, and I was like, I parked my car outside Ace, and he like called. He's like, call me like right now. So I called him, and I actually like I committed to Lake Forest in the parking lot of Ace Hardware. But I mean, it ended up being really good fortune actually, because obviously COVID hit, and I had already established my spot.
Yeah, for sure.
Before that, and if I hadn't done that, like obviously a lot of guys, COVID really like screwed up their recruiting.
For sure,
obviously people didn't know if guys were going to stay for their extra years of eligibility. Or
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. So I was really fortunate that I made that decision to do it really, before I did it like a week before the senior year of high school
that's early.
started.
That's for like D3 school.
Right.
That's
and so I just,
early,
and then I really enjoyed that year obviously I talked about some of the adversity of that senior year, but for what I was able to play, I enjoyed it a lot more just because I didn't care.
Like
I was just playing to have fun. And so, it worked out really well. They were the first school that, recruited me that I talked to, and then ended up being where I went. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, worked out really well.
And Dan was still our coach last year, so he's been there for a while. He's not, at least temporarily, he's not now, but
temporarily.
We'll see if he comes back. But I committed a lot later than you.
Okay.
I was in March of 2018, and that was like my senior year of high school when I was like gonna graduate in May.
Yeah.
So I had some like financial aid with different schools I was like waiting to hear from.
Yeah.
But
I think that's like a lot of the guys in my class were that
later.
Because I know I was the first one, and I feel like they're like, because the class after me, like Griffin committed, or 2 years below me, I know like Griffin committed like around the same time.
They were
like
some
the
of them
first
were definitely
one.
early
So like,
too,
I feel like with us, it's either like guys are really early, or it's like
Or you get like Erod who like comes in June, like 2 months before school
or he like
starting.
texts like, I forget, like the story with Rafa is like really funny too, like how late like he came and now he's like the best player on the team. So it's like, so it's funny how it works out.
Well, and we ended up being college teammates for years. So now we're gonna move on to when you came to Lake Forest.
Yeah.
So I remember because I was obviously going there. Fall of 2020 was when you came in.
Yep.
The campus was completely remote because of COVID. Everybody was at home.
Right.
I didn't even take classes. I took a semester off because I just didn't want to. I did internship and stuff. So you came in and you did classes online for that whole semester, right?
Yeah. I had 4 classes. All of them were online. Did them from my house. So,
and that was. I mean, that's really weird coming into college and like.
Yeah.
Compared to like most normal experiences, you know. Like,
right. I mean, to me, it was kind of a good time because. Environmental studies major, so like I spent a lot of time outside. Like, So, I basically like the whole time COVID was going on, I was just like outside, the whole time, like like fishing, hiking, all that stuff. So, I would do classes and then like do my work, whatever, and then just shut my computer and then
and let's be real, like online classes are like
right. So
not that easy,
and I mean I was lucky enough, like I really like got really good classes, really good professors that like had handled it really well. Had really good plans. So in all honesty, like I didn't mind it, but it was definitely weird. In terms of like, and that's why I was so grateful to be a part of a team because I already had a bunch of people I knew.
Of
like
course,
going into that environment, not knowing anyone would have been like absolutely terrifying.
Especially trying to like meet people over the computer,
right, like the only time you're like interacting with people's over Zoom, so it's
like,
not like you can just like say like what's up to someone after class because you're in a Zoom room,
and then
so
everybody just leaves,
everyone's just there, so it's just
knows.
like that was the first semester.
So that was the first semester, and then you guys they were in person kind of in January in that spring semester of 2021. So that's when you came. Right. I didn't come. I decided to I took classes, but I was like, I'm not going to come back because I was playing for like teams in Cincy that I knew. The COVID rules or whatever, were just less strict in Ohio compared to Illinois. Like, let's be real about that. And I didn't know what the season would look like at Lake Forest at the time. Yeah. Like, I didn't know if we were going to play any games, what the practice, if we'd have anything, because nobody was sure at the time. Like, that winter of 2020 was like, that's when COVID was probably at its worst, so everybody was like, we don't know what's going on. So I stayed home, did classes online, but you came.
I came.
Just tell me a little bit about that experience, that first semester, how it was, like, getting to meet the guys and finally, like, get to play in a college game.
Yeah.
Like, they were friendlies technically because, like, there was no season really, but, still playing in a college game,
Yeah, it was an experience. Certainly. I mean, it was weird. It was really weird. At that point I had one in-person class, but I still had 3 remote classes. So I was just, like I was in my dorm room, but I was doing class there. And then, I mean, obviously, like playing, it was the first time I was playing competitively since, basically, I mean, we started playing in like early March, late February. So that was the first time I was playing competitively since
like your last club
pretty
season,
much
probably?
Like March of the previous year.
So, like
so it had been like a year
much,
basically. I mean, obviously training on my own and stuff, but without playing like actual like competitive training sessions with a group of guys and matches and whatnot. So obviously we had a bit of a smaller group. Like you were there, Pressburg wasn't there,
Richard wasn't there either.
Richard wasn't there, so it was a smaller group, and obviously like a lot of guys were off campus at that point. Like, Brad and Griff were off campus, like Jan and all of them were off campus as well. So there really weren't that many people around, and we were really spread out too. So like, I mean, obviously like some of the guys that were commuters weren't there, and then. A bunch of the guys lived on North actually. So, like I don't remember exactly, but I might have been the only guy that was in like Nolan on our team.
Wow.
So, it was weird, like,
Yeah, for sure.
you know, because you feel pretty disconnected.
Mhm.
But then the season actually starts, and then you get into the flow of things because you see these guys all the time, and you finally feel what it's like to get back into a team. And you know, obviously, it's not normal, and there are a lot of precautions in place, whatever. But we still get to, for the most part, interact with each other as a team, and it was super fun. The weird part about it is, so I never got COVID, but somehow, despite like all the precautions, everything, I ended up getting mono.
Oh,
and
I think you've told me.
Yeah,
that,
so I didn't know what to do because like my mind was so wrapped around COVID, but I knew I didn't have COVID because in order to play, we had to get tested every couple days.
Yeah, you guys tested like 3 times a week.
Right, something like that. So like, I knew I didn't have COVID.
Yeah.
So I just kind of, you know, I'm the type of person I want to like just handle things on my own. So, but I was like really sick. So I mean, my throat hurt so bad I couldn't eat. Like I could really only like eat soup and drink water, like really really cold water.
Yeah.
And then you know I'd go to training. And the other thing was like, so we trained with masks on, so I wasn't worried about, and we all had our own water bottles. So I wasn't really worried about like transmitting whatever I had, because usually I'd be, you know, pretty hyper aware. Like obviously my mom's a doctor, so like I'm pretty hyper aware of those things. But I figured with all the precautions in place, like I wasn't going to be a transmission risk. So I was like, you know, I feel okay, so I'll keep playing. So we were, you know, playing, and so I'd play, and I'd feel like sick while we were playing, and then training would end, and I'd immediately, because I just exerted my body while I was sick, I'd get a fever.
Yeah.
So I'd have a fever probably till like midnight. I'd like wrap myself in sheets and like sweat the fever out, and then so like by 1 a.m. I could go to sleep again. And I did that for like a month and a half. And finally I was like, you know, whole time playing. And this was before our matches started, so we're just training. And finally, I was like, you know, I gotta go figure out what's going on.
Yeah, because it's like, COVID's like what, last a few days. I mean,
right.
days,
so
maybe,
it's so clearly
this happening for like a month,
right.
and you're getting negative tests anyway.
Right.
You know?
So I was like, I gotta figure out what's going on. So I went home actually, and got some like blood work done and stuff, and then I had mono. The funny part about it, I mean, obviously, the reason you don't play primarily with mono is that it can cause your spleen to enlarge. So if you get hit the right way, you're at more risk for rupturing your spleen. So luckily, by the time that I got tested and they were like, yeah, you have mono, it was so far along, like I'd been playing for so long, that I went back and I gave it to Gilbo. Like I gave it our athletic trainer, I gave him my paper that said you have mono, and it also said like has to out for 1 day. Like
I know you had played.
I had to stop for 1 more day to like reach the threshold of like number of days you're allowed. Like, you can play again after you have mono. So I just missed the 1 day, and then we played the games. So we were supposed to play 4 games. We ended up playing 2 games. We played at Ripon, and then Ripon played us at home. 1-1-0 both times. Because Matt got COVID, one of the guys got COVID. And so we missed 2 games just because of that. So I mean, obviously, it's just a lot of adjusting on the fly. Really, is what it was.
For sure.
But you know, I got the opportunity to play my first 2 college games, see what that environment was like. I mean, obviously, even though they're friendlies, we were still. The 2 games we did play was an in-conference opponent.
Yeah,
so,
obviously it's gonna.
So obviously it's not.
Hard.
I mean, people are get into it regardless.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I mean, it was a good experience, albeit a weird one. But it taught me a lot of things, and it was good be back in a training environment that again. So because obviously that had been a constant in my life, and then suddenly it wasn't there for a year.
Yeah.
So to be back and playing games, get back in the flow of thing was good. So.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, like, it's a lot different than what a normal preseason looks like for freshmen, but at the time that we were in, we had at least as returning players, we had no idea, like, when we could play again. So just the ability to finally get back for the guy. I mean, obviously I wasn't there, but I wanted, like, everybody to be playing. I wanted the team to be playing. I would, like, keep up with, like, everybody in the games and stuff, and So when you guys were allowed to play, you know, I was like, this is great, you know, and then hopefully in the fall we'll have like a full normal season where like you guys come in, the new freshmen come in, and we can all kind of like go from there.
Exactly.
So yeah, let's move on to your sophomore year, my senior year, kind of, where we had known each other a little bit, but I come back to the team, so we're fully like teammates, and we get into it. Let's talk about preseason early on in the season for you. You struggled with some confidence issues, which I think we've talked about, and I think during the time, looking back now, I could see it. I think in you, and I didn't even know you that well like, at all. I think I could see it because I'm like, he's a good player for sure, good technique, can play, but I just feel like there's something not going well with him right now, you know, and then obviously we've talked about it and stuff. So how did you like kind of move past that? And then at first I remember during that season, like you weren't starting, you were coming off the bench for the first maybe 5 or 6 games, and then you kind of found your way into the starting lineup and you were playing for the rest of the season. And then we'll talk about the position switch soon, but you kind of found your way into the starting lineup too.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I think a big part of it is I kind of, in order to be, you know, a high level athlete, you have to be uber competitive. Like there's just no way around that. And so I think that for me, it was hard to, at the beginning of my sophomore season, I had the expectation that, you know, I was like, my expectation for myself is that I'm starting.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was at the level to be doing that. And obviously at the start I wasn't. I was coming off the bench, and there were times where I like wasn't even like option A coming off the bench. And so for me, as someone that's so uber competitive, it's really hard to like reconcile not being in the position that you feel like you should be in. Because it's just, you're so competitive, and you have that mindset that's like, okay, this is, I need to be starting. Or I'm not like, I'm not contributing, I'm not, which obviously is absurd because, you know, everyone has a role to play.
For sure,
And for me, I was getting in my own way at that point by like, you know, not being in the right headspace. So when I do come in, like I've spent so much time being pissed off that I'm not going in, that by the time I do go in, like, am I really, you know, locked into the game
and like present?
So it was a lot of, you know, how do I reconcile, you know, the competitiveness inside of me that needs to be playing with the actual player that's present and needs to actively contribute to the team in the way that his coaches and his teammates need him to. And it was the Elmhurst game, away at Elmhurst, our sophomore year. You know, came off the bench again, and in warm-ups, I mean, I don't know what prompted it. I don't know what, it's not like I even really thought about it. But I just kind of like got pissed at myself. I was like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like you're just sitting here, like, you know, feeling sorry for yourself that you're not starting. You still played in every game, even if it's not.
You did.
And there's kids here that like are so excited to be here that haven't touched the field.
I mean, that Elmhurst game was like our 4th game of the year, I think.
Yeah, so it was like 4th or 5th or something like that.
We were already like kind of a quarter way into the season.
Right, and like there's people here that literally have not touched the field, and they're like, you know, more engaged in warm-ups than you are. And I was just like, dude, like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, you know, I'm gonna get a chance to go into this game, and I'm gonna stop feeling sorry for myself, and I'm gonna engage in this warm-up, and I'm gonna engage on the sidelines so that I'm actually like ready to go into the game when it comes. And then when I go into the game, I'm just gonna give 100% effort, and whatever happens, but I'm gonna go hard into every challenge. I'm gonna run, you know, I'm gonna go hard into every 50-50 ball. You know, even if the ball looks like it's going to go out of bounds, I'm going to run. I'm going to put full effort into running after it. I'm going to chase guys down, whatever. And so I went in the first half and, basically stop trying to be perfect. Because I think that's a big thing is like when you're trying to figure out, okay, how can I get into the starting lineup, you're very hypercritical of yourself and you're like, everything I need everything that I do needs to be perfect.
Yeah.
When in reality, if you're in that mindset, then the first little mistake you make, you're like completely thrown off because you're like, now I'm not perfect anymore. And so I've messed up and coach has seen that I've messed up. And so I'm not going to play anymore. When in reality, 90% of the game is people messing up.
Oh, I mean, everybody, dude.
Right.
I've like learned this. If you play a game, don't make a mistake. Like you're either doing nothing, or you're just doing like too simple. You gotta like take some risks.
Right. Exactly. So, I basically was like, I'm just gonna go into the game and I don't care what happens. I'm just gonna stop thinking about things.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna, I know that I'm capable of playing at this level. I'm just gonna, give 100%. And luckily, when I had that thought process switch, things started to come off a lot more. And then I played the entire second half of that game as well.
Yeah, I remember. We went to overtime too.
And then played all of overtime as well. And that mentality shift played a big part. And then I started the next game against Dominican, scored in that game, and then started every game for the
rest of the season. Yeah.
So, it was kind of that like flip of the switch moment during the Elmhurst warm-ups where I'm looking around like, dude, no one cares. Like, like you're in full control over this for yourself, and it's like embarrassing that you're sitting here feeling sorry for yourself when you've played, as the second sub off the bench the entirety of the season so far, and there's people here that are giving more effort in warm-ups than you are, more engaged, and they literally haven't touched the field.
For sure.
And they might not touch the field, and they're still more engaged here. So, for whatever reason, I was fortunate enough that I had that sort of mentality switch and then, gave that effort in the Elmhurst game and
everything
worked
changed.
out.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, like, it's great to realize, like, being accountable for yourself.
Right.
And honestly, dude, like, now that you just talked about that, like, I had a lot of the same problems my sophomore year too, because I had like a decent freshman year, like where I didn't start really. I started one game, but I played in like almost every game, like at least 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it was, right? So my sophomore year, I set like kind of big expectations for myself. I didn't put the work in. I've looked at that and realized that now, obviously. But when I was a sophomore and I wasn't getting put into games, like I would like just shit on myself. And then when I would get a chance to come in, I had multiple games where, dude, I was terrible.
Right.
I'd play for 15 minutes, lose the ball every time, and then
because you're so scared of like
and the perfect thing with the talking about like trying to be perfect is great because you like overthink everything except for just coming in and just being like, I'm just gonna play. Like no thoughts, just play. And then when you do that, you play so much better. Like I've realized that, you've realized that. And so another thing about like why you didn't start too at first, because like he's a CDM, you're a CDM, like naturally a CDM, right? It's unlucky too that for you, the two most technical players on the team that year were Frank and me.
Right.
And I just came back, and you might not have even known that. Right. And I'm a 6, and honestly too, like the seniority thing in college, I think is a big thing. If you have two players that are maybe similar in level, but the older one of them is a senior, one's on the sophomore, the senior's probably gonna start.
And objectively, like Frank was our best player on the team.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And so like, and then obviously you were in there as well, and you were up there as well. So it's like, for me to like come in and be like, all right, like, easy, I'm coming in right now, and I'm gonna. It was just absurd, but it's still hard to like have that recognition because like I said, it all just stems from us being like so uber competitive. For sure,
because you want to play. Obviously, you want to like make an impact because it's hard to sit on. It was hard for me to sit on the bench and watch us sometimes lose or watch us play like shit. And I'm like, if I was out there, maybe I could help.
Yeah, exactly.
Better,
it's just it's like it's two pronged. It's you. A, you're just so competitive, and B, it's like you want to help. You want to feel like you're contributing to the team.
Exactly.
Like if win or lose, I want to feel like I contributed, but I don't want to like. Obviously, if we win, I want to feel like I was a part of it. I don't want to feel like I didn't aid us in winning that game. Exactly. And if we lose, I don't want to feel like I wasn't able to do anything
Definitely.
that I could have possibly done. So it's, you gotta balance both those things with, having the recognition that, hey, I'm not there yet.
Yeah, for sure.
And what can I do to get there?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, well, hey, that was great to hear about, and obviously you turned it around the rest of the season for sure. And we're gonna talk about now during that season. I think it was probably Ripon or right after it. So he scores a hat trick in our second conference game.
Yeah.
Did you start striker that game or no? Or did you start?
No, I started at the 10.
Because we switched formations. That's another thing too. We switched formations.
So we were at like a 4-1-4-1.
4-3-3 for the first half of the season, and then I got hurt for a little bit. I missed 2 games, then I came back, and I think we decided then like Frank was filling in for me at 6.
Yeah.
And it just made sense. Like he was also really good at 6, not just attacking mid. So
Right.
we're like, let's play a double pivot.
Yeah.
And have 110, and then Frank or me, probably more him most of the time, just because like he's more attacking than me, could go up, which I think worked out well. So you are a center mid.
Yeah.
You were playing center mid the first half of the year, but you ended up moving to striker.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I'm not on the team anymore, so I can say this. We didn't have a striker.
No.
We had no striker. Like
well, I'm still on the team, and also.
Yeah, he's still on the team. He'll say it. We didn't have a striker, right? We tried multiple 5 different guys up there for the first half of the season, and got literally nothing contribution-wise. And I think I started to realize, and I honestly think I told you this, because you were like sometimes playing attacking mid, sometimes playing CDM, but it was like you said I could play up top.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at this point, dude, we need the best players on the field.
Right.
Even if you're not a natural striker, let's just put you up top. Because me and Frank, we're not going to play up top, let's be honest. But we have another good midfielder, let's just throw you up top.
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing with that, too, was, I kind of had the realization that no matter how well I played, it was going to be really hard for me to consistently break into the midfield.
Yeah.
I carved out that role at the 10 for myself alongside Frank, but I knew that I was like, maybe 1 or 2 bad performances away from somebody else, you just rotate somebody else.
Yeah. Like Erod or Sam, if Sam was hurt or
the reality of it is that it's like you either perform or you're not in there.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I was like, how can I get myself in this lineup most consistently? And I would talk to Tim about it, and I'd be like, and I would say, in club, I would play center forward sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember, but in the second game in Colorado, I actually played for like the last 15 minutes of the second half. I played center forward.
Oh, you did? I honestly didn't remember
that was the first time I played it. And then
Huh.
I didn't play it again after that until
probably Ripon, right?
yeah. So I basically told him, I was like, if nothing else, like I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna just press the living daylights out of them.
Especially like Ripon, because
right.
they were shit.
And that's what I said to him. That's why they put me in against when we were out in Colorado.
I
told him, I was like, you know what? If nothing else, put me up there right now, and I promise you, I will press them for 15 minutes without.
Because some of our other strikers, like I won't name them, but they couldn't run. And
So
they wouldn't.
So I mean, I was like, if nothing else, like I mean, you've seen me, like I can run forever.
Yeah.
Like I might not be the fastest guy, but like I will put pressure. Like I'll be willing to run.
The fitness is there. Yeah,
right. Exactly. So I was like, I don't care if I don't touch the ball once. Like I just want to be on the field.
Yeah.
And if that means that I'm gonna just press their center backs for 15 minutes and look like I'm, my stats are, 1 mile run, 0 touches on the ball. If I'm out there like on Trackstar FC, I don't care. I just want to be on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, then the Ripon game, I started at the 10, and obviously got the first goal with the penalty. Yep. And then the second half of the first half, I started at the 10, and then I played center forward. He subbed another guy on at the 10, and I don't remember who it was, and then moved me to center forward.
Yeah. Okay.
So I played the last half of that half of center forward, and then I started again at the 10
in the second half,
and then moved to center forward again.
I think you played the whole game that game.
Yeah, I played the whole game that game. I came out for like the last 5 minutes. We were up 5-0, so it was a 5-1. Yeah. So, I mean, I was lucky enough to get that beautiful ball from Keast.
That second goal, I remember that
goal,
was a banger.
that was
Yeah,
a
he
good
like
one.
settles in, like just rips it bottom corner.
Yeah,
like,
that was
rip, from like 20 out or something.
That was a good one, and then I mean obviously the third one was kind of fluky. The poor back pass, was just lucky enough to intercept to get on the end of it. Relatively simple finish, but you know, I was back and forth between center forward and Cam in that game, and then I think after that, Dan was like, "Well, I mean, he scored 3 goals, so might as well just put him as far as possible and see." And then obviously finished the game or finished the season at striker. I think it was like 4 or 5 more games.
And they were all conference games.
All conference games. I think I had like 4 more goal contributions.
Yeah, I think you had like, I looked at your stats. I think you had like 5 goals. I don't know if you had any assists or not. But I think you scored 5 goals.
I had,
or you had definitely had a couple assists. I know you had one.
I think I had like 5 and 4 or something.
Okay,
5 goals and 4 assists or something like that. And all the assists came after I moved up there as well.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I think more of it was, I mean, obviously I had the goals, and I mean, I didn't really care as much about that. Like, I was just happy I was on the field.
For sure, yeah, and like you're like now you're like a vital part.
Right, and I felt like I was really helping because, like, I mean, it was the same principle as when I was playing the games in Colorado, where I was like, I'm just going to go in and press, and that's what I would do.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I was less concerned with getting on the ball, whatever. And I think that, I mean, a couple of my assists came from, you know, winning the ball back high up the field.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and it was, I mean, obviously it was big for me to go from, you know, not playing to suddenly having this spot, even if it wasn't the most comfortable spot for me to be playing. I was like, you know, I'm just going to, you know, carve this role out for myself as just pressing really hard, working really hard, and, you know, luckily some goals and assists came out of it. But really, I mean, my main concern was that it gave me a way to be on the field.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, he obviously made a really big impact, and I think I could tell that you started to like find your rhythm. You know, as a player, you found your rhythm because you were like, I know I'm gonna be on the field. Like, there's really no sub.
Yeah.
I mean, there are, but the level is such a drop off that like if we took you off, right? So you're on the field, and yeah, you started to. I mean, you finished sophomore year out really great. We're gonna talk about that season. We're gonna talk about the season as a team, and it would be a great discussion. You ended up finishing, so we didn't finish. Our season wasn't great, but first you were second team all conference. So this kid, he goes from having not a good start to the season, mentally fit, like just coming off the bench when he wanted to start and stuff, finds a role, second team all conference, you know, like, and it was you, Keast, and Simon. That was it. Like, that's, and especially as a sophomore too. I mean, I had never made an all conference team up to that point, right? So like, all conference team as a sophomore, like, big deal. So yeah, I mean, you kind of already talked about it, but like how you finished that year really strong. But tell me like what that feeling to get that award was.
I mean, it was huge for me personally. I mean, especially like you alluded to, like the way the season started, for it to finish with that sort of, I mean, because nothing I do is in order to garner any recognition. It's not like I'm going out there thinking, all right, like what can I do today to like ensure that I get an all conference award? Like it's just not on my radar at all. Like I just don't care. But when you do get the award, it's like such a validation.
For sure.
Especially, you know, for the amount of work that I put in that season. You know, to at the end of it have that recognition. And it was really like the first time that I had been awarded like that. You know, because I always performed really well in high school, but you know, for whatever reason, I chalk it up to my butting heads with our coaching staff as to why I never really got nominated for any awards in high school. But you know, it was the first time I made some like preseason all conference teams in ECNL and whatnot, but to like have that end of the year recognition, for especially my first meaningful collegiate season.
Really, I mean, it's really a freshman year for you, like,
right,
pretty much.
For all, so I mean, for me, it was huge.
Yeah,
especially
definitely.
just to end the season on that note, on a personal level, was huge.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's all like the coaches from the conference that
Right.
vote for the players, right? And yeah, it shows a lot of how much of an impact that you had on the team, our team that season. So that was great. I mean, obviously, I was so happy when like those guys got those awards, and then same with this year. We had 6 guys this year get awards, and
plus the defensive player of the year.
Player of the year, and yeah, I mean, and obviously we probably would have had more last year if we had a better season, but we didn't, because normally the teams that do better get more awards.
I mean, you saw it this year.
Yeah, except we had 6 this year compared to 3. So, all right, let's get into last season as a team, and this is gonna be like a really good discussion. So, we did not have a good season in 2021. Like,
no, we
had our worst season in 10 years.
Yeah.
We had 4 wins, no wins in non-conference.
Yeah.
Depth on the team was bad.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, I'll say, we had a really hard schedule in non-conference, but even if we played 2 easy teams, we still probably would have only won like those 2 easy ones.
Right.
You know? Just tell me why you think that was, and what we need to do to get back to the top of the conference. You're going to answer, and then I'm also going to talk about it too, because I got a lot of stuff to say.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that sophomore season was a huge letdown. And for me, it was shocking because it's when I was getting recruited, like, our team was consistently popping in and out of the top 25 in the country.
Yeah, and we were making conference tournament
in the
every
rankings.
year.
Yeah, like,
every year for 10 years. You know, like, there was not a question of making the conference tournament. It was like, you will make it.
Right. I mean, at that last year, I mean, we were at 17 conference titles, and the next school has 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know that as a player, and so to suddenly be in this scenario where the final whistle's blown on the last day of the regular season, and that's the last game you're playing, like, you're sitting there thinking, well, we suddenly have not even made the conference tournament.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you're lost for, like, you don't know what happened. Like, I just remember standing there thinking, like, dude, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, couldn't even process it because it was just such a shock. And I think it was such a shock for everyone. And I think it was a combination of factors. I think a lot of our non-conference games, we simply just got outplayed by better teams. Obviously that was really, really hard non-conference schedule. And I think, I mean, I don't want to play a rinky-dink non-conference schedule. I want to play a competitive non-conference schedule. And I think that our non-conference schedule this upcoming season is a really good job of this, balancing out playing good teams with also playing winnable games.
Yeah, definitely.
Where you are playing a team that's at a very comparable level to you and or worse than you. And you have those games to work on what you need to work on going into conference, building confidence going into conference. I mean, we were playing, I think our first, 4 of our first 6 games were against teams that made it to the second weekend of the national tournament before the year before that or something like that. Like just, really good squads. And I think that really knocked our confidence as a team.
For sure, yeah.
Because you're so used to being so good, and then all of a sudden you come out and you have a lot of roster turnover, pretty young group of guys.
We did, yeah. We honestly did. Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're not winning, and then you continue to not win. And even games that we should win, like I remember we lost that Elmhurst game 1-0, like, and you're like, well, we should never have lost that game. Like, that's ridiculous. And so I think, or we tied it 0-0.
Yeah, that was
in
last
overtime.
Year. Awesome.
Yeah. So, I was just, thinking, well, we're so much better than this team. Why couldn't we win the game? I mean, at that point, obviously, it was goal scoring was an issue, and I think overall depth was an issue. I think buy-in was an issue, and then, I mean, obviously it's hard to, obviously injuries were a big issue. I mean, obviously you going out was a big blow. There were a couple games that Frank was out, and then to have both your starting center backs go down, seniors, leaders, and then be at the end of the season where suddenly you have neither of your starting center backs. And I think that, obviously we missed the conference tournament by one game. And I think that, we just ran this unlucky thing where, like, Cornell was absurd that year.
Yeah, they were that better than they've ever been, honestly.
And
for sure.
Grinnell
was better than
Jasper,
they had. Yeah, they were better than they had been in the past.
Who was a one-man machine.
Yeah.
I mean, he won, 2-3 straight offensive players of the year.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously Knox was really good. And then, to lose that opening conference game to Lawrence
tough,
we dominate the whole game, and then they score in overtime on a breakaway after we've just been pressing for a goal, and for that to be the game that's determined on the fact that you don't make it, it's hard. But I think it was a combination of all those factors. Some of those teams just all of a sudden being really good, and us kind of getting smacked in the mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think we were ready to compete.
Definitely,
in all honesty.
Yeah, I think the lack of, like, kind of experience on the team was a big thing, because we really had only about 6 players that had really been part of the team that were kind of like important pieces. And Frank and we didn't start our sophomore year. So, like, we had basically never been starters before coming in last year. And we had a bunch of new recruits, and let's be real, some of the recruits not as good as they had been previously in the past, contributing to that lack of depth. Like, I'll say this, the first 6 games of the year, I probably was off the field for 15 minutes. Yeah. And we're playing 3 times a week.
Right.
And then I get hurt a couple times, and other people get hurt because we're playing so much. Where in previous years past, like in non-conference games, there'd be so much more rotation because guys were, quote-unquote, more similar level than we had, unfortunately, that in 2021. And,
well, I mean, even for me, like, it was, like, by the end, like, I had such bad hip issues just because, like, I mean, and I didn't even play really at all, maybe, like, 15 minutes a game the first 4 or 5 games of the season. But then, to your point, like, you're forced to play so many minutes that, like, we had just such bad injury issues.
And then, like, obviously, like, my injury was just unfortunate, you know?
Right, I mean, that's freak thing.
Yeah, but again, with the depth thing, you lose me, and I'm not gonna, like, hype myself up saying I'm, like, an amazing player, but I was at that time, like, kind of a key player for our team, you know? And then I'm gone, and then we lose Brad and Jake, both of our starting center backs, who are seniors, who have started every game that year.
Every game.
So by the end of the season, you're missing, like, your 2 center backs and 1 of your CDMs, and again, and then guys are getting thrown into games that haven't played the whole year. Into the biggest game of the season. It's like we played Grinnell at home last game. It's like win or
you don't
you
play
are
the tournament.
Done. Yeah, you're no tournament, and you look like laughingstocks in the school.
Yeah.
And I think the hardest thing for me, like, kind of at the end of the season was, and again, I'd been there, right? I've been there for a few years, so I was used to, like, men's soccer is a good team at this school. Like, we make the conference tournament. Sometimes we win it. Sometimes we go to the NCAA tournament. Hadn't happened for me yet until last year, obviously, but I think we lost so much respect from, like, other teams because we just getting, I mean, not, like, no one ever coming up to me and, like, laughing at me, but I just think you could tell, like, dude, we were, like, considered, like, and especially I was hurt.
I mean, you get on, like, Twitter, it's like, well, men's soccer, like, Forster Athletic, men's soccer lost again.
Yeah, you know, it's like we're 2-10 or whatever, you know, like, it sucks, you know, but I think going off of that season, and I knew I had 1 more year of eligibility, come back from my injury, I was like, I want to do everything possible to come back and, like, try to win. And I'll say one more thing about the season, then we can move on, but I had made such a big transformation in my own game, in my own life over COVID. Like, I was a completely different player when I came back. Like, Dan and Tim told me, like, they were like, dude, what the hell happened to you? Like, I just, physique, confidence, technical ability, whatever, I was just way more confident, right? Yeah. And I was so excited, dude, to come back. Like, you don't even understand. Like, I'd be gone for a year and a half. Yeah. I was so ready to come back and show everybody, like, dude, I'm actually good now. I'm ready to start, ready to contribute. And yeah, just for us to have that type of season, like, it was frustrating, you know, it really was. Because I think, and I don't think individually I had, like, a bad season at all, but I think, like, just, strength of schedule, depth, and I mean, it's tough losing your first 8 games with a tie maybe, and going into conference, like, you can call it trying to be confident, but at that point, it's kind of like.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You.
It's like not. You don't believe it though.
Right,
really,
exactly. Because it's like, well, yeah, we played a bunch of good teams, but we're still 8-1.
Yeah, and most of those games we got dominated.
Right.
65%.
So you're not working. Yeah. You're not figuring out how to play as a team.
Yeah, we're just defending the whole time.
Yeah,
and it's still getting scored on most of the time, right?
Exactly.
So for sure. But hey, we turn it around.
Yes,
that is what we're really gonna get into. I want to start though when we obviously had our spring season last year, which I think was a positive. Honestly, I think guys came back like ready to like. Trying to like put that season in the past. At least for me, I was like fresh out of my injury. I was like, dude, new chapter, let's go. You know, I was also thrown into like a leadership role. Like I knew I was going to be a captain and stuff. So I was like, let's kind of take this team where I want it to go to. Right?
Sure.
I'm gonna impose like my drive and work ethic and try to get everybody on board. And again, we lost like 5-6 seniors.
Yeah.
And we were still. I mean, our junior class didn't really have many players that were playing. Young team. I mean,
really
it's your class, freshman, and like me, and that's it.
Pretty much.
And we knew we were gonna have a big recruiting class, but let's talk a little bit about the spring season, kind of like how maybe it helped us get ready for the fall. Some of the workouts we did, the playing in the winter, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously, I think, we're fortunate enough to have that indoor space where we can play 5v5, and I think that's. Obviously the weather up there is not really conducive to playing in the winter outdoors.
Oh, no, it's terrible. They take the nets off the goals anyway.
Right, the field's covered in snow, and it's not like the type of snow that you can just like shovel off.
It's like ice.
It's like 3 feet of icy snow, so it's not going anywhere. So, we're fortunate to have an indoor space and we can play 5v5, and I think that's really beneficial because, obviously it's really fast play. I mean, it's essentially like you're playing futsal, which we all know how important that is for development if kids are playing that at a young age, just their technical abilities. So I mean, I think that has a really big impact. And then obviously, I mean, I agree, I think guys were really eager to put what had happened behind us, just because it sucked and nobody wanted that to happen again. Because I mean, it was embarrassing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you don't come to our school to lose that many games.
No.
Like it's just not what happens.
Yeah.
Especially like, I mean, I'll just say like we're not in the strongest conference.
Yeah, no, we're not.
So you don't go there to finish 5th in the conference.
No, it's like the CCIW.
So it's like, I mean, I think guys were really ready to put the work in and not just have a waste of a spring season.
For sure.
And I think also like kids knew like, okay, big class coming in, so I can't slack off. Like
spots are up in the air.
There's no guarantee that, because there's pretty much going to be almost a brand new squad.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got to work. So I think
definitely.
I think that really helped because everyone kind of had that mentality that
for sure.
I don't want this to happen again because I don't want to feel like I feel like I did that Grinnell, like after the Grinnell game. I don't want to feel like that.
No,
again,
never. I mean, I was there at the Grinnell game, couldn't play, but I'm sitting there with my foot like in a boot on a freaking scooter watching us lose, and I'm like, dude, this is awful. Like I can't even play. Plus, we're like flaming out in conference. I'm like, I want to be on the field like winning conference tournament at home. Stuff like that. So, but yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, I think certain guys were ready to take the next step in their game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rafa was ready to become into a leadership position.
Yeah.
And completely just take over the team and be like one of the best players, key players on the team. And he did that for sure.
Absolutely.
Simon too. You getting like you knew your role was solidified. It changed this season when you switched positions again. But you knew you were gonna be like
I knew I was gonna be on the field.
You'd be on the field a lot. We all knew that. And so I think it was hard because there was like me, but then it was like the next kind of leader types. Mm-hmm. Like let's be honest, we're sophomores still, But I think you guys did a good job of like helping me and trying to get the message that I wanted to get out to the guys. I'm like, listen, like, dude, do you guys want to feel like this again? Like, I don't want to freaking. I got one more season, dude. Like, I don't want to lose and not go to the freaking conference tournament. Like, it's terrible. I want to go to the NCAA tournament. I've been dreaming about this for years. So everybody did a great job, and I think the spring season was good. When we played like the game against Trinity, I was like, we have good pieces. We just need to fill them in.
Exactly.
We have a solid 5 or 6 players out here, like Mo and Rafa and you and me and like Sam and stuff like that, Eric. But I just knew we needed a few more pieces, freshmen, to come in, and we got Johnny Pressburg back, which was
big
amazing.
difference.
We'll talk about that a little bit too. So we're gonna move on a little bit before the season. So where were you last summer again? You were not.
I was still at school.
So that's what you did.
So I was working up there. So.
Yeah, so you were in Lake Forest for most of the summer, and then you came back for a few weeks before.
Yeah,
summer,
probably like 3 weeks.
So we linked up and we started training for like probably 2 weeks straight, pretty much every day. And you played in a couple. Do you play in 1 or 2 Gotham games with us?
Played in 1 Gotham game.
Gotham game, yeah. So that was something that's just for fun. But we linked up. We started training because I was playing in the summer, training with my friend Joey. He went to England though, like 2 weeks before I was going to school, and I'm like, "You're here." We both got the same goal. Like, let's just be as ready to go. So I'm like, let's just get after it. So just talk to me a little bit about that. Like when we trained together, like how did that kind of help you, or did it help you get ready for the season, both physically and mentally?
I mean, no, it definitely did, because everything I was doing when I was at school for the summer was I was either by myself or I was playing with Rafa for his uncle's Sunday league team.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Which was so much fun, but it's not like, it's not preparing you for a collegiate season. Like, it's good to be playing in a game, but like, and so, to come back here and then be able to get into that very high intensity, high level training environment, because we would never train more than like 90 minutes. But you don't need to be out there because everything's so high intensity.
Yeah, we go drills quick, make them good, and then
so it honestly, like, it made a big difference, because I felt like my touch was there. I felt like everything was there, but I felt like I needed it to be there in a high intensity, pressure environment. And so I think that what it provided for me was the ability to like feel like I was getting up to speed. Like,
definitely.
What I actually needed, and obviously we would like do sprints here and there as well. But I mean, most of the fitness came from the drills themselves.
Yeah.
So I think really to have like 2 weeks where you're going full speed, and I mean, obviously, like, I think it's so good for multiple. Like, obviously, it's good for injury prevention as well, because you're not going. I mean, obviously, we're doing like 2-3 a days during preseason, so you're not suddenly going from pretty low intensity training to that really high intensity training, risking like muscular injury or whatnot. So, I mean, I thought it was really helpful, especially just, kind of, readjust myself and get a reminder, okay, what's the level I need to be at? What's the expectation? I think to have that for 2-3 weeks before the season started, that was really productive. So.
Yeah, great. It was great for me too. I mean, honestly, and another thing, like, just to get you out, because obviously we're on the same college team.
Right.
I was like, dude, I can help. I'm already like, I knew I was ready to go, like, because I was playing like a high level the whole summer and stuff, right? But I'm like, I can get Elliot out here. We can both put good work in, still getting ready, and like I can make sure like you are absolutely ready to go mentally, physically, and it showed in preseason. Obviously, you were fit and ready to go. So, all right, now it's time to get into last season.
Good stuff.
Last season was fun, but it wasn't all easy.
No,
it wasn't all easy at all. I think I came in, I was like, dude, we're gonna be good. We're gonna be a lot better. I've been recruiting class was getting hyped up for damn near 6 months.
Exactly.
I'm like, okay, we're gonna be good. We got, again, good pieces coming back. I know they're gonna be ready to go.
Right.
I'm ready to go. And preseason was really good, I think.
I thought so too.
Well, just talk to me a little bit about that, like how everybody felt.
Yeah.
And whatever.
I mean, I think immediately we kind of collectively knew that it was not going to be like last season. We obviously we knew it wasn't going to be easy. I mean, like you mentioned, like ridiculously young team, so not a lot of experience.
Yeah.
And so, it was going to be difficult, but I think that, immediately, like, the realization, like, okay, these freshmen, they came in and they're legit.
They can play, yeah.
And
they can play.
They don't care about who we are.
Yeah, no. Like, they're just there to play and do their thing,
they did not care that, I had been scoring goals the previous season. They didn't care about, like, you being the leader of the team, they respected people, but
they're not afraid.
But they're not like, oh, okay, I'm gonna cower over here.
For sure.
They all came in like, all right, I want to smack you in the mouth. Then, like, I want to let you know who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I think you and I think kind of we discussed it a bit during preseason. I think we're like, all right, like
we got a squad.
We're ready to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we were for sure. Definitely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, the returning guys came back good. I mean, dude, honestly, even before we started playing, because we had like the 2 days, or we got there, had meetings, and then the next day we didn't play at all because we had like some rule or whatever that we couldn't play that day. But guys were just getting along well.
Yeah.
New guys were getting integrated already before we were even playing, and I'm like, this is good. Like, I can see, like, it's a good chemistry right now, for sure. And if you need that going into preseason, because it's brutal.
It's a grind. You have to have everybody together.
Yeah, everybody's got to be ready to go, like, and focused, ready to put the work in. Because, I mean, D3 preseason, we don't have 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We have, like, a week. We literally had 5 days before the first preseason game.
Right.
Like, 4 days of practice before the preseason game,
Something
right?
like that. Yeah.
And again, we have a recruiting class of 15 kids.
Exactly.
That's half the team right there, you know?
Exactly.
So, but no, everybody was ready to go. As a captain and leader my last season, I was really excited.
Yeah.
I was really excited. And then we can talk about the first couple preseason games a little bit. I didn't play in the first game because I had to go home for like a family thing, but the Rose Holman game, that was the first time we actually played in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Rose Holman NCAA tournament team last year.
Yep.
Or in 2021 and this past season. Dude, we came out and we starters played for 60 minutes. We played like the first and the third period. And I was like, okay, we didn't score, but we shut them out. And I think we had more of the ball.
Yeah,
and I was like, okay, we didn't do that at all last year against a team like that. We kept the ball more than them. We created some chances. Obviously, that we still had to work on that, and like we all knew that. But I just was like, damn, dude, our back line is solid. Our midfield is good, and like you up top, and eventually you ended up moving. But I'm like, we got it. We can play, and we can defend, and we're gonna be good.
Yeah.
Like, just talk to me a little bit about that.
I mean, I agree. That's when at that point I knew that we had a team that was fully capable of rectifying everything that had happened last year. I mean, I don't really have much to add to what you said. I think you nailed it. I mean, we came in, we played a team that was a really good team, and we didn't get run off the pitch.
No, not at all.
We possessed the ball more. We, at least when we had our full starting squad in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we kind of forced everyone else to realize, like, okay, like this isn't going to be the same.
No, not at all. It's competitive. And another thing I realized too, like that during that game, and then the previous practices, I'm like, dude, we got some depth now.
Yeah, exactly.
We got some guys that can come in and off the bench.
Absolutely.
Like we have good players coming off the bench that, they might not start. They might start a few games here and there because the lineup changes all the time because people get hurt, whatever.
Injuries, whatever.
Yeah, of course. But I'm like, dude, like this is awesome. Like
absolutely.
Now in these non-conference games, we don't have to like. I don't have to play. You don't have to play the whole game every freaking game because the next best option is not very good. You know, we're fine. You know, to like have a lot of depth, and that was awesome. You know, so
I agree.
So that was great. Great start to the year. I think like team was feeling great, and we looked pretty good. But then again, we had another hard schedule.
Yeah.
We go 0-4 starting off the year. So we played Gustavus and Luther, both NCAA tournament teams. Gustavus made it to the round of 8 this year.
Yeah.
You know, and then we play Wheaton. Wheaton's always good. And then Elmhurst, first home game, pisses me off still because we were definitely better than them. A winnable game. We lost, whatever. Just talk to me a little bit about, like, how you were feeling after that, like, 0-4 loss.
I mean...
Or, like, 0-4 record at the time.
I felt different when we were 0-3 than when we were 0-4, if I'm being completely honest, because... I wasn't upset about being 0-3.
Yeah.
The Gustavus game we lost 1-0.
Yeah, against and again they made it to the
Elite
national
Eight.
tournament.
So for us to be in our first game, we had like four or five freshmen starting.
Yeah. It's like their first college game.
Right, their first college game ever. You know, it's away. It's up at Norbert, so it's not. You know, we've traveled and we come out. This is our first game. To play a team that's eventually going to be in the Elite Eight and to lose 1-0 with the squad, the young squad that we had in the first game, real college game for those guys, I thought, to me, it almost felt like a moral victory.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, because, I mean, the non-conference game is relatively meaningless.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you want your record to look good, but I thought in terms of what that did for us as a team, I thought that was really a good first step. Luther game, obviously not the same story. I mean, we lost 4-0.
Yeah, or it was 3.
Or 3-0.
Yeah. Did I tell you about what happened to me that game?
No.
the night after, that was a back.
Oh, that's when you were really
Dude,
sick.
I was like, I don't know what happened. We ate Chipotle. I think I got sun poisoning during the Gustavus game. Like,
I remember you telling me about that.
I like was up like all night, dude.
Yeah.
I got back from when we went bowling. I was so sick.
Okay.
I had to throw up, couldn't, and then like 2 a.m., dude, just threw up.
Yeah.
Slept terrible, woke up, and I was like, dude, crap. I'm like, obviously I'm gonna play, but I wasn't the same. I'll be honest, right there. And and they were
they were a really
good
team.
Yeah, they were a very good team. Yeah,
so
of course.
So that, I mean, that game was a bit of a setback, and then you know, the Wheaton game. You know, I thought for good portions of that game we were completely in the game, and I mean, obviously it was 1-1 at one point, and then I don't think the 2 goals that they scored after that were an indictment of our team. Like, so So like, I mean,
it was just mistakes,
right?
Mistakes,
so, and I think, and it was at Wheaton, and I think we were in the game. I don't think we got really like outplayed.
No, second half we were better.
We just couldn't. You know, we couldn't finish the chances, and I think that. So I think that like that game too, like similar to the Gustavus game, it's we didn't win, okay, but we were making steps, and last year would have been a completely different story in those games.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I was like going into the Elmhurst game, I'm like, all right, you know, time to get one on the board here, and then to lose that game at home, 1-0 to a team that for 89 of the 90 minutes you're better than, and the 1 minute that they're better than you, they put the ball in the back of the net.
It sucked.
It was a horrible feeling. I remember, you know, after that game we had the, you know, big team talk in the locker room just about like, all right, we got to make a decision.
I think I was probably leading that, going off at that point.
Yeah, doing a lot of yelling at that point.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I mean, I remember we had like, but that was something that was like last year it would have just been, all right, we just go in the locker room, we sulk about it, or like the previous year. And like last year it was like, all right, we're all standing here as a team now, like talking about what we can do to like fix this.
I think it was a choice. It was like, we had another game on Monday against Concordia, Chicago, which was very, very winnable. I'm like, do we want to like fix this season right now, or do we want to keep just let it kind of wither
do
away?
the same
You know,
thing
because I'm like,
season.
I kept saying this too about like our team at that point. I'm like, we're too good.
Yeah,
we're not an 0-4 team.
No,
we are going to be, if not the best team in conference, a top 3 team.
Yeah, for
sure. Even if we're 0-4 right now. So I was like, the team's too good right now to be like woe is me type. You know,
absolutely.
like we'll be fine. We will be fine.
But you have to like make the decision to be fine.
Exactly, and it's everybody. It's not just like me and a few other people, or like some people. It's like everybody's got to be bought in.
Exactly.
For sure. Yeah, I that's great analysis for sure. I mean, the first few games I wasn't too like pissed about really. I mean, Wheaton I was like a little bit. I thought we could maybe like got a couple goals.
Yeah.
But Elmhurst was that was a tough one for sure. Because I thought we were better, and then we had the ball a lot.
We were absolutely the better team.
We were playing very nice soccer and stuff, but we couldn't score, and they got one unlucky goal, and it happens. But then we move on. We kind of go through the rest of non-conference. I think we were kind of off and on a little bit. I think.
Yeah, I mean, we had some good wins. We had some good performances. Yeah. We really, I mean, the North Park game is a bit of a, you know.
That was a tough one, definitely, because I think
it's 0-0 at half.
Yeah, the first half we played. I'm gonna argue best half of the season, even though we didn't have the ball, because we defended and we were just like I was so
everyone
locked
was
in,
locked
bro.
in.
We were all locked in. We were like, dude, this is the 5th ranked team in the country right now. Like, we come out at North Park. We had a delay too.
Right. Long delay.
I'm like, dude, we can have a delay and come out and get scored on the first minute. Like,
sure.
Because we are young, people might just check out. Yeah. You know, but we came out, and then. Red card was unfortunate, and we ended up losing. We ended up losing 5-0.
They score on that free kick, and then
and
obviously it got really chippy, and
it sucked. And then
coach took both of us out, took a bunch of other people out, and obviously just kind of capitulated from there. But
for sure,
I mean, I think the big difference was like, I mean, the games that we were losing, save for that game, were like 1-0.
Like North Central.
It's not like, and the North Central game. I mean, you can argue that game was. I mean. I still don't know what happened when they scored. Like for some reason,
I don't either.
For some reason, we just were completely checked out on that restart. And the guy just dribbles 40 yards straight down the middle of the field.
Definitely.
So, and we had plenty of chances. Like there, I mean, I remember there's one. It was like if I'd been there millimeters sooner, I would have been tapping it in the net. So it's like we're competing. You know, that's a really really good team.
Yeah, we're competing with these like finishing first in their conference, making the NCAA tournament, hosting the NCAA tournament.
Right,
we're competing with them. You know,
I think going into conference, we knew okay, we have the ability. We just have to start taking that.
Definitely.
Next step.
There was real belief this
Right.
year. Even though I think we were 6-1 going into conference, which on paper doesn't look great.
No.
But a lot of the games we lost were by 1 goal.
And we could have won. Like,
and
we
we could
were in the
have
game.
tied or won those games.
Yeah.
The Concordia Chicago game, put them away. Kalamazoo we should have beat.
Yeah, that was
2-2, gave up a goal at the end of the game. Elmhurst, I argue we could beat.
Both.
There's a lot of games there where it could have gone a different way,
Sure.
a different scoreline. So I didn't give a shit. We were 1-6-1. I really honestly didn't. I was like,
No.
time for conference. Got Lawrence, who beat us last year. Like, we got to go and absolutely smack them, right?
Yeah.
So you scored that game. I remember that.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. Yeah. That was.
I remember like I'd gone into the season, still was not like naturally a 9.
No, you weren't.
Went
No.
in.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah.
And then, but I'd had some success the previous season, obviously, and then scored in the spring game, and then
Yeah, you did too.
So I was like, all right, well, I'm ready to score this season, and then just wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting into good spots, but like whatever, the final ball wasn't coming, whatever, I wasn't finishing. And so I was still scoreless at that point, which obviously was a big, winning that mental battle with myself to stay like locked in.
Yeah, it's tough. No,
when you go
for sure.
8 games without scoring, and so to finally get on the board at Lawrence
early too.
at
minutes,
Lawrence to finally score. That was like a big weight off my shoulders.
Yeah. I remember we were like, the conference merchant is back.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I, and then obviously we got a second one, and then, gave up a fluky goal, whatever it is what it is. But then, obviously to go there and, because to lose to them last year was so embarrassing.
Oh, yeah, for
was
sure,
so
dude. And because, like, we were infinitely better than them.
we hadn't lost to them in like 7 years.
Yeah, long time,
right?
Yeah.
I think that it was a good way for me personally, and for us to start.
It set the tone, and it showed me that like this team can grind games out.
Yeah, exactly. We could fight through adversity, we could grind games out, we could go on the road and win.
Yeah, because I think playing them at home's a lot easier. I hate traveling. I really do.
Oh yeah,
and
no matter what.
It was dude. It got to be chippy.
Yeah,
we didn't put them away in the first half. They came back and we scored. Carl's goal. That game was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But then they scored with like 25 minutes left. I'm like, we can't give up another goal.
Yeah,
and
we can't. We have to win.
We have to win this game. Yeah, we can't start out conference like last year, dude. And the ability for us to grind out games was apparent there for sure, especially with the young team that we had. So after that game, I was so happy because we lost here, even though I'm not going to disrespect them that much, but like they're not a great team in our conference. But to beat them, I was hyped, dude.
Right.
I was like, let's go 1-0, we'll move on. So, but then we had struggles in conference, dude, against like probably arguably the 4 easiest teams in a row. Even the Monmouth game where we won. Yeah. We still did not play very well in the second half. So we can kind of break down a little bit by game, but like Ripon, we 0-0 tie at home. That was a tough one because we beat them 5-1 last year when we were realistically not very good.
Yeah, I mean, and that was a tough. I mean, obviously that was a low point for me. That was, where I didn't start the second half, and then he didn't put me in until like 10 minutes left, still 0-0, and then I was in for 2 minutes. I had like one half chance that. The keeper was, from you to me by the time I got my foot in the ball, and he just, ate it. And he took me out, and I kind of lost my cool and, kind of started arguing with him on the sideline, which obviously is someone that's, a leader on the team in front of a bunch of freshmen to be doing that is, obviously not okay. And I think that, tensions were really high just because, we were like, how are we tied to this team right now, and we're going to lose points, and we can't afford to lose.
Because it's like now we don't control our own destiny.
Right.
Brunel was already like 3-0 at that point.
Exactly. Like they looked like they were just going to continue smacking teams, and so we were kind of like, at that point, it kind of felt like I remember, Dan at that point was like, well, you guys just gave away the conference, and so that's kind of
that's like kind of brutal.
That's kind of
here,
that's kind of how it felt.
I was like, it's my last season, we're not going to host a conference.
And I know, and that's like, and so like, and I was really frustrated when, because I came off, and he's like, oh, you didn't finish that chance, and to me, I was like, well, you had me out here for 2 minutes, and that was a half chance. So I snapped, you know, I was yelling back at him, like, you know, we're in each other's faces, like on the touch line, like, which obviously, you know, for me as a player isn't okay to do. I know that's just where I have to like eat my pride and just go sit
it's
down.
hard. It's very hard. For sure.
And you know, we hashed it out the next day, and it was all good. But yeah, I mean, there were definitely, you know, low points, and then you know, obviously Monmouth we win handily, but we win handily because quite frankly it's not a good team.
Yeah, and honestly, dude, the second half we played like garbage until they scored that third goal.
Exactly.
Because we were, I mean, it was 2-0, but then they just somehow get. It's another one of those moments we give up goals not because some team outplays us. It's because
we just have
we
one
check out mentally.
Yeah, exactly.
They score some dusty goal with like 30 minutes left, and I'm like, dang, bro, like they could get another chance and like score. I'm like,
exactly.
Monmouth is bad. We beat them last year, no problem.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And so
3-0. So it's like, and I think, you know, and then, you know, obviously we get out of there 3-1. You know, it should never have been that close. And then, you know, to go to Beloit, and, you know, we can talk about whatever. Obviously, their field is a joke and whatever. And, you know, we can make all the excuses we want. You know, but to go up, I mean, obviously it was you know, I scored a penalty, so it's not, you know, it's not like we scored from open play, but we're still up 1-0.
Yeah.
We had a lot of chances from open play. You've had shots the keepers made saves on. I've had shots keepers made saves on. Other guys have had, you know, other shots on target. We haven't scored. And then it finally, like, not putting our chances away, letting teams stay in the game, and then having those mental lapses cost us. And
it really cost us.
Lose to a team that we haven't lost to in, I don't know, it was like double-digit years.
Yeah, that's arguably like
probably one of the worst losses in the last 10 years.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was so embarrassing, dude. Like I was like, I couldn't believe it. I mean, because I've been there longer. Every year we've beaten Beloit like pretty easily by multiple.
Yeah, I mean,
goals, you know?
Well, I remember like when we played them our sophomore year again, like same thing with Ripon when our team was nowhere as good as it was. Like that's the game where I gave you the penalty.
Yeah, we kicked their ass that game. We were up 4-0.
We were up 4-0.
That was the year when we literally like.
I was like,
we were bad.
Here you go, Ted. You want a college goal?
I need my first goal, please.
And then I didn't even play like the last like 30 minutes of that game. So it was like, you know, it's so handily beat them, and then to go up there with a better team and to lose was. Yeah, that was a moment where again we kind of had to have that conversation again. Like I don't think that one happened till the next day, but again, like all right, we got to like reevaluate, you know, where we're at. And
I remember
we can't get ahead of ourselves.
I remember the leadership meeting we had the next day, and we were like, "What's the problem? The problem is we play fine every half." First half of every game had been good. Beloit, and even though we can say we didn't score whatever, but
we
dominated them. Right? They're not a threat. They're no threat, right? But for some reason in the second half, we come out and we're nervous. Yeah. For some reason, and then when you're nervous, you don't play good. And then those lapses in concentration, we give up a really bad goal, and then we give up a PK because we commit a dumb foul because we lose the ball. You know, and then we're like, crap. We have 15 minutes, and we're chasing the game now, and. I honestly, it sucks. Like when I played the whole game that game, and I was like, I hope we score, but I don't know if we're going to. Yeah. They just want it more than us. They have the momentum, and we are just kind of like we're in our heads.
I mean, and they got it. Like they scored that second goal, and then
they were hyped.
And then they just packed 10 guys behind the ball.
Yeah, and that made it really difficult.
And then they earned the ability to do that for themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean. I didn't think we were going to score either.
Yeah, and dude, on that game, like that Beloit game, because it was our fourth game. I mean, we're 2-1-1. I mean, when we lost that game, like I literally almost cried because I was like, dude, we could really like. There's no way we're going to win conference now. And that's what I thought.
I thought we'd throw it away.
And I was like, dude, like we're kind of in jeopardy if we make in the tournament. We haven't even played Knox, Grinnell, Cornell. I'm like, I don't know how good they're going to be, but they're probably going to be good.
And the IC game last year, you've been 2-1.
And IC is a lot better than they used to be too. So again. We're not great at that point, but let's move on. We're moving on to now your kind of position switch.
Yeah.
So we go to IC, Illinois College. That after that Saturday, first half we played awful.
Terrible.
Horrible. We gave up another terrible goal. We're losing 1-0, and I'm like thinking at halftime, I'm like, if we don't turn around right now, our season's over today. Like, we will not make the conference tournament, because if we can't beat IC, we're not going to beat Knox, right?
Yeah.
And so in the second half, he actually subbed me out for you. Because I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't having a very good game either, and I wasn't having a good game. You played really well when you came in, and he took me and Ito out, puts you in at 6.
Yeah.
Let's talk about kind of how that came about.
I mean, I remember I was really frustrated that game because I had that goal disallowed.
Yeah,
in, like the first inside like the first 5 minutes where like the goalie had, it was a 50-50 ball in the air, and I was just stood there. The goalie comes out, like basically just jumps straight into me, kind of, I don't move, bounces off me, misses the ball entirely, and then I just put it in the back of the net and ready to wheel away and celebrate, and the refs called a foul on me. Still to this day, I don't understand what I could have possibly done there for it to not be a foul. I mean, obviously it's a horrible decision on the referee's part,
sure.
But I admittedly let that take me out of the game because it had been such a struggle. I mean, I'm at 2 goals in the season at that point, so I'm like, now I've scored and they've taken it away from me, whatever.
It's so it's frustrating.
And so I'm like, nothing's going my way. This, that, the third, whatever. So I got taken out about halfway through the half, and then maybe 3/4 of the way through the half, and then didn't start the second half. And Tim kind of comes up to me because Dan wasn't there because of his child.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
And so Tim kind of comes up to me and he goes, you used to play the 6, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you want to try going back there? And I was like, yes, please, for the love. Because at that point I was so done playing the 9. Because I was still doing it, but it just wasn't.
It's not your natural. It's really
no,
not
and
your
it was like, it was so
position,
like having been a center mid my whole life, to just be up there and have be completely reliant on the ball coming to me instead of being the one that's like facilitating the game. It was really hard.
And I'm gonna be honest too, the strengths of your game suit a midfield more than a top.
Oh, absolutely.
You know that.
No,
I know that
absolutely.
too. We all know that because when you moved back to 6 with me for the rest of the year, I mean, you were night and day better.
Right.
Because you just were more comfortable and
right.
It fits your game. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, yeah, please, like, and
absolutely.
so he put me back there, and then. Like, I mean, I just felt everything come back, like, right away. Like, I mean, it was like I'd been there, like,
for years.
It's like I hadn't missed a beat, and I was able to just kind of, go in and, I was like, I'm just going to make them know I'm here, basically. And so I didn't lose a single header that day.
No, yeah, you played your strengths. You came in really wanted and that was a problem we were having. I mean, we were not meeting
right, because they just play long.
Yeah, we weren't winning headers. I mean, I compete in the air, but dude, I got a height disadvantage.
Right.
I'm 5'6", so you come in.
Yeah, I think I won like every header.
Yeah, you did.
I was like, I only lost like 1 50-50 duel. Like, so I think like, I was just thinking I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna assert myself on this game. Because my strengths are, passing,
long balls,
tackling, my
heading,
physicality.
Exactly.
So I think that, I said, okay, I'm just gonna do that, and then. Obviously, we score, 2 goals, like
in like a minute
or something like that. Go up 2-1, awesome. And then, obviously, because and that I loved that game because they were talking
too damn
crazy,
much, and that was the team. At least for me, that was the team where the kid on the other team broke my ankle.
Yeah,
last
that's
year.
the team.
And then we get into it at the end of the game.
And so they're talking crazy the whole game, and it's hard. I mean, obviously, like, I've talked a lot about, like, how, I'm pretty fiery and whatnot and ultra competitive and whatnot. And, final whistle blows and I kind of got in their coach's face and I'm talking to their coach. And obviously he, like, tried to charge me. Like, he had to get held back by 2 of his players, which is absurd. I mean,
you're a coach.
Come on, you're a grown man. Yeah. Like, I'm still a kid. Like, I mean, I'm an adult, but I'm a player, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a college kid. You're a coach. So, like, for their coach to be charging me, I thought was absurd. And then, for obviously while I'm shaking the ref's hand for one of their kids to come and punch me while I'm shaking the ref's hand. I mean, me and the ref just look at each other like,
and the kid gets
that just happened and gets a straight red card.
Exactly. I mean, that was.
I mean, that was, but I mean, I loved it. I thought it
Oh,
was,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that made, honestly, like, I think that had a big impact on our season because
that changed it. That game
everyone
changed,
kind of realized, like, all right, like, we want to be, like, fiery. We want to be up in people's faces. We want to, like, smack people in the mouth.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Not like
you
timid.
know, we're not timid anymore. We just came back 2-1. Like, their parents are talking crazy. Their kids on the bench are talking crazy.
Yeah.
We're on their home field. They think they're going to beat us. Yeah, now we flipped the script, and now you're sitting second to last in the conference,
Yeah,
and
you're
we're back.
and you're
We're-
done.
we're-
Yeah, you
we're
guys are
back.
done.
So,
And then like the only fans from Lake Forest that game was my family.
Yeah, and your brother.
My brother was
yeah,
chirping their
exactly.
parents, dude. He was
So-
going crazy. It was so funny. But no, I'll be real with you. Like that game when you came in, and you came in for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I'm getting subbed out. You know, I'm like, shit, that sucks. But you came in, dude. I think you changed the game. Like honestly, right there. You kind of lit the fire, getting back to goal position. You started winning headers, and then we got goals.
Yeah.
And then I got subbed back in with like 10 minutes left next to you,
Mm-hmm.
and it just felt different when I came
Yeah.
back. But we were just confident.
Yeah.
And then we get into that little scuffle at the end of the game. I honestly think it started with me a little bit.
Yeah.
'Cause I like cleared a ball off a kid, and I started like screaming. Right
I
in
mean,
front
you
of the
talked
guys.
first, and then I saw a kid come at you. So I mean, obviously, as soon as someone
and it was
says,
the kid who broke my ankle,
Exactly.
so I was like, dude, like, don't talk to me, bro.
Right,
Like,
and then,
it's 2-1 with 30 seconds left.
Yeah.
You guys are not winning.
and
This
then
game.
as soon as someone like says like gets in my teammate's face,
Yeah,
like
it's over, bro.
like I'm there.
And
in a
our
second.
team, I mean, our team is, dude, we get into people.
Yeah,
bro,
and
so,
then we
like,
led the
we-
nation in red cards.
Yeah, so it's
it's
not good to
it's
like
a fiery,
poke us, you know.
It's a fiery team
For
yeah.
sure. So yeah, that was fantastic, right? We turned the season around there. We played Carthage. We don't even talk about that. Game didn't matter. You barely played that game.
Yeah, because I was on.
You were the
I was
yellows,
on my
yeah,
yellow
yeah,
card
yeah.
limit.
So you didn't even barely
so
played.
I didn't play.
Game didn't matter. We played a lot of like guys that weren't playing that much, which
Yeah.
was good. And then Cornell, that was the first game you started with me at 6.
Right.
I'm gonna talk about this too. The 6, because we played a double pivot
Yeah.
the whole year. That was the plan, was to play a double pivot. We had multiple different. I was in there because that's my position.
Yeah.
Dude. I'm a 6. Everybody knows that. And we had multiple different people in there with me for the whole entire year. Like Pressburg was there for the first 5 games. Then Efet was in there for a lot. Griffin started a few games.
Yeah.
I think Griffin's a freshman, so obviously he didn't get the minutes that like probably other people were
Yeah.
getting. But Pressburg and Efet were like key starters by the end of the year. I think they're both good players, but their strengths are not as a CDM.
Right.
Pressburg, he's good with the game in front of him. He's
Yeah.
a freak athlete who can win long balls, win headers, and win
Absolutely.
tackles. He's a good center back or outside back. We had Efet in a lot too, but he's a good player, really technical. He's a creative player, and I think he sometimes at 6 would lose the ball too much because he would try to do stuff. So it's like, let's put him in attacking mid.
Mhm.
He can create stuff, which he had a few really good games at the end of the season, and big games where he scored against Knox and had an assist against Grinnell, like really big games. And then it kind of just worked out where like you were a 6 naturally. We kind of moved pieces around. Egan came into the starting 11. We moved pieces around, and then we saw you play at CDM, and we're like, this needs to work.
Right.
And then we started against Cornell. First game of the called the Cincy midfield.
Cincy
because we're both from Cincy. I don't know who started saying that, but
I think it was Griffin. Actually.
Griffin started saying it probably. So Cincy midfield gets started, right? And I don't know, dude. Like, even like right off the bat, I feel like we had good chemistry.
No,
I
it
think
was a
we
good
just like
partnership.
knew we could read each other well.
Yeah, absolutely.
About like what we were doing, and I think it worked out well. So just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, I did. I mean, it was. I immediately I felt more comfortable being back at the 6, and obviously the Cornell game was the first game I got to play a full 90 at the 6. So I mean, I was really happy about that. Immediately the partnership felt great. I think it even gave you a little more license to go forward too.
It did, yeah, definitely.
Because before, like when it was you and Efet, obviously he was gonna be the one that was going forward, and I don't really mind just kind of like being that buffer in front of the back line.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it gave you a little more license to play more of like an 8.
Yeah. And I think it worked well too, because like I think I'm good in the air for my height, but you're 6'1" or 2.
Right.
And if you sit more, you can just win those balls in the air. You're
Right.
long, you intercept passes, and I think I'm more like kind of like shifty a little bit. I'm short, obviously, so I can go and attack a little bit more. I think it worked. I liked it.
No, I thought it was great. I mean,
I loved it because I hate it. I don't mind sitting back, but again, like I like to be kind of more involved in the play when we're attacking too.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought like, it was hilarious because my now girlfriend on the volleyball team, Mary Geegan, you know who she is, but a bunch of them came to one of our games, and she told me recently, she's like, well, one of the first games I watched you play is kind of like you would like get the ball and pass to a few people, and then you just kind of like hang out.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I was like, pretty much, kind of just sit there,
that's the job,
play like as a pivot, and give you more license to go forward. And I think it worked out really well. Like, I felt more comfortable there, and I think like the Cornell game, like obviously another 0-0 draw, we can score, but I mean, we had to have what, like 70% possession in that game.
They barely, in the first half they barely got the ball past. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we dominated that game, which was a good sign. It was a good sign.
And they're not a bad attack. Like, they had some decent attacking players, especially through the middle of the pitch. We just completely shut them down.
For sure.
I think that, especially like our back line was already so good. I think like immediately we kind of realized that it was going to be an even bigger defensive shift as well. Like, having that buffer through the middle of the field.
Yeah, that's like, again,
because our outside backs are so good.
Yeah, exactly.
That now it's like, well, they can't get through the middle, and they can't go down the line.
Johnny,
so we just need to score, because we're not going to get
scored on unless we really shoot ourselves in the foot.
And then for the next, for the rest of the conference tournament, and up until the conference tournament, we didn't give up a single goal.
3 games in a row shutouts
to the 3 best teams in the conference.
Arguably, yeah.
So.
It was good, dude. It changed everything, bro. I'm telling you, like, I felt more comfortable when you came and played 6. I really did. I was like, okay, sweet. We can defend it as a 2 when we need to, and I was fit.
Yeah.
I was so fit, dude. I could run everywhere. So I don't mind running up and down. Like, if we need to, like, I could go, and then okay, we lose the ball, I can come back.
I think you finally were able to have that trust also, that like you could go forward, and then like you trusted that if we got countered, like I would just
clean it up.
Either I, because I had no problem just fouling.
Stopping it.
But you knew that, like, I think you knew that like you could take more risks getting forward, because you knew that I was just like, legally or not, I was going to stop the counterattack.
Sure. Of course. And again, that we had barely practiced together at 6. Like, it was like kind of just, we're just going to do this. And maybe I think probably the week of the Cornell game after Carthage, we started working together in practice. But that was like 2 days, and then it's like, okay, we're going to play 6 together for the rest of the biggest 3 games of the season.
And it was like the most super natural partnership.
It was just perfect. It worked out great. So we tied Cornell. We're like 3-1-2 at that point, right? So that, at least at that time for me, I had completely written off we were going to win conference. I was like, let's make the tournament, get into the tournament, and let's go win it, right? But dude, magic happens, and teams lose, and Grinnell started to choke.
Yeah,
they started to choke, and we knew we had to beat Knox. That was like given. But we're like, okay, maybe Grinnell will choke one more time. Knox loses. Ripon, I think, had a bad result too. I don't exactly remember, but I think they might have had a bad result. Lots of ties were happening, which helped out us because
a lot of things were falling in our favor.
They were for sure, like that going into that Knox week, and that we played that Knox game. That was the best game we had up to that point of the year.
Yeah.
Again,
first time we beat them in the regular season, like 7 years or something.
Since 2015.
So,
and we knew we had to beat them, and obviously they're NCAA tournament team multiple times. They've won the Midwest Conference in the past 10 years probably 4 times. 5 times if not, and a good team every year. Even though they had a little bit of a down year, I'll say, they were still good.
Absolutely.
I think they were the best other team in the conference.
Yeah.
They had the best players.
I agree.
Yeah, like Grinnell, they were good too, but I think Knox, they had problems in their own team, honestly, but they had good players.
They
for sure.
I think they were the
But
best.
dude, we came out and for most
despite
of the game,
my penalty off the crossbar, we
can talk about that a little bit. Yeah, that was, I know, like you had been like our main PK taker up to that point.
Yeah, I was 100%.
And that was I mean, dude, when you stepped up, I'm like, oh, he's gonna score for sure. Like he doesn't miss PKs. Like, but it happens, you know.
Just moment was big, rushed it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes that's how it worked out.
It happens.
A ton of people there. Haven't beat this team in 7 years.
It's like we
need to win.
Yeah.
And
happens,
I watched it back on film with Tim when we could see the moment where I just rushed it one step quicker than I did every other one, and just threw my timing off a little bit, put it off the crossbar.
Yeah. But hey,
happens.
We got bailed out 5 minutes later.
Got bailed out.
And we clamped it down, dude. I mean, we played ugly, but we clamped it down for the rest of the game. Solidified our spot in the conference tournament. I was so happy, dude. It was
when we clinched that spot, it was like a huge.
It was so awesome, bro. Like my whole family was there. It was awesome, like for them to come and see that.
Yeah.
Beating Knox for the first time. you hadn't really had the history with Knox that I had.
Right.
I mean, you guys lost them last year, but I wasn't even at that game. I was hurt, you
Yeah.
know. But my sophomore year, we were tied. We were both 8-1.
Mhm.
We had the same record going into when we played them in the regular season. We lost 2-0, and then we
Yeah.
didn't win conference. And freshman year, we lost 1-0, and just a streak of losing. They had been, and they did the double the year before we did it this year. You
Sure,
know?
right.
Like, so it's like, dude, I don't like them.
No.
They're good, but I don't like them.
No.
And for us to get that win, yeah. And then, dude, the magic was, we finished the game, right? And I'm hyped. I'm so hyped.
Right.
Dude, you, like, blew some kid up, like, with the I watched it back on my dad's video of it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
He's, like, filming right at the end.
It was
and, like,
horrible to see.
You come in, and, like, I think you got cleaned out by this kid or something. I don't
Yeah.
even know what. And then we win, and I run over
Dude,
to.
that hurts so bad.
I was like,
I thought I broke
yeah.
my foot.
Yeah,
to be honest,
Like, I don't even know why you went into that, but that was
because I hate them.
Yeah, that's why.
And we were winning, and I wanted to kill this kid.
That was so funny, but yeah, thank God you didn't get hurt.
No,
bro. That would have
yeah,
sucked.
I was so scared.
But
for
yeah,
a second.
so we get out of that game, and I run over to Mo, and he's like, dude, Grinnell lost to Ripon.
Yeah.
I was like, what? And that meant that
We controlled our own destiny.
If we beat Grinnell, then the next week we're going to win conference first time in 6 years. And they were up 2-0 and lost 3-2, and I was like, bro, what? We were so hyped.
Yeah,
we were
dude.
so hyped. I think we knew we could win that game because look at what we just did in Knox, bro.
Right.
Like,
dominated them.
Absolutely dominated them, and we were locked up defensively. We had one moment where we almost gave up a goal because, honestly, we had 10 players at that point because Pressburg got hurt. I don't know if you remember, for like 5 minutes.
Let him back. Yeah,
we didn't get a sub in,
so
and then
weird.
we lost the ball, and then they almost scored. Simon made a great save, but we after we scored for 30 minutes, we still clamped them down for the rest of the game. They had like no really clear chances, so I was so confident, right? So just talk to me a little bit about how you felt going into that Grinnell game and that week of practice going into it, if you can like kind of remember some.
I mean, I was just excited. Like I don't know if there's a better opportunity than to be able to go to. I mean, because we knew the stakes. We're going to their place on their senior day.
Yeah.
And we had the opportunity to take the title away from them on their senior day, on their home field. Like, there's not much more to it than that.
Yeah.
You know the stakes.
Definitely.
Everybody's locked in at practice. Everybody's locked in the night before. So, I mean, I think everyone was pretty aware. I mean, we didn't even really need to have much conversation about what
I don't
was
think
on
we
the
did
table.
at all.
It was kind of like a silent understanding.
That's like, dude, this is it, bro.
Yeah.
This is like the biggest game our team has played, and probably since the national tournament game in 2017.
Yeah.
Like, this is our closest chance to winning. It's one game, do or die. You either get the ring and host a tournament, or you don't.
Yeah.
And yeah, that we were locked in. I remember sending a message, like, because we got to the hotel. I sent a message out. I was like, just go to sleep.
Yeah.
Don't eat garbage. Wake up. We're going to win a ring tomorrow. Like, I know we are 100%.
Yeah.
And we came out. Warm-up was great.
Yeah, warm-up was the best one of the
And
year.
now we get to talk about for the next few games, our little contributions to goals and assists as CDMs.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, we just both decided to, like, let's just have assists and goals right at the end of the season.
Right.
Like, for, like, the last 4 games. Like, I had a goal and 3 assists when I had 1 assist the entire year.
Yeah.
And you had, like, a goal and probably 2 goals because you scored against Grinnell and in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
And
then, like,
probably 3 assists at least, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the goal in the Grinnell game. So it's 0-0. We come out, dude. They didn't get the ball out of our half for the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We were dominating them. They kept fouling us, too. We got free kicks, corners.
Yeah.
I probably took like 5 corners in the first 10
Yeah.
minutes. I played some of them back to Rafa, but that corner, let's talk about that.
I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, I haven't scored in the header probably since I was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, you're too damn tall to not be like even like getting ahead on these corners.
For sure.
And so, it's kind of like I'm always like, all right, I'm gonna make a run, and then the ball comes to me or it doesn't. But I was like, I'm tall enough and I can move well enough that I'm just gonna wait and kind of see
where it's
I'm gonna let it
Yeah.
develop. And so you took the corner. It was a perfect ball. I gave the guy, I let it develop. I watched it for like a second, picture where it was going to go. I gave the guy 1 step the other way, went to the ball. and then was able to just meet it, make really good I mean, I didn't really need to do much because the ball had so much pace on it coming in.
Yeah, you hit it, but you hit it
just
perfect, dude. Yeah.
perfectly off the inside of the post, and then
that was sick.
I remember you and I both
you ran right past me. I'm like, I'm going back to the corner.
I wanted to I knew where their student section was because they had been chirping us the whole game. So I just went and stood in front of their student section with my arms out. I was yelling at them. They were yelling at me. Someone threw water at me. And I loved it. I remember the AR was trying to get me away from them and stuff. But I mean that's stuff you live for right there.
Dude,
that's so much adrenaline.
And scoring a goal in the biggest game.
Yeah.
Of, your college career,
I mean, to me in my head, I'm like, I've just taken this away from you, on your senior day, on your home field. I'm gonna stand in front of you and make you know that I'm here.
Yes, sir, bro. Yeah.
So, and then obviously, we locked it down. And then second half, came out basically the same way. Got the second goal on the board. Kept defending. I remember one. There was probably 5 minutes left. The ball kind of came towards me, and I just cleared it as hard as I could around midfield, but I cleared it and it deflected off the guy.
Oh wait, it was our
and
throw.
It was our throw, and I remember everyone at that point just went there was this huge
it was
collective,
we knew,
let's
dude,
go, because that was kind of we had this realization that we're about to do this, and then I just got to celebrate
that was
on
awesome,
their home
bro.
field.
That was one of the best days of my life up to this point, for sure. I want to talk about the corner a little bit from my perspective. I was probably our primary corner taker.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense for me to take them. I think you're good at taking corners too. I'm
just too tall.
But it just makes sense for a tall person like you to be in the box. I'm not really in college. I'm not a threat in the box, real. Unless the ball comes right to me and I don't have a defender. It's just hard for me to get up and get over. Sure. I'm short, So I had taken a lot of corners that year, and I had taken a lot of good ones, but I also taken a lot of bad ones. And I had taken good ones that I thought we were going to score and didn't. And I was it was frustrating me at points where I was I could have more stats and we could have scored on. I remember ripping, dude. I took freaking 10 corners that game, and a few of them were good, and a few of them could have headed, and the keeper saves, and I'm oh, we're so close. We're so close. But for you to come clutch up and score that goal, I was and I'm gonna be honest, I hit the ball and I was kind of oh crap, it wasn't that great. But you just came out of nowhere and had it in. And I was all right, let's go. And then we played fantastic. That was our best game of the year, I think.
Oh yeah,
from even better than the conference tournament games, of how we played. We just came and dominated them, showed that we were the best team in conference. Yeah. And when the whistle blew, I remember there was 2 seconds of we running hit each other, and then you just run away, and I just fall on the ground. And we won. It was so awesome, and we realized, okay, we're hosting the conference tournament. But I think we celebrated that night, obviously. But the switch kind of flipped in me. I'm dude, this is only the first step.
Yeah, exactly. We knew there was.
We don't get to NCAA tournament from this.
Right.
We got a whole.
And this honestly, this doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Yeah. It's just the tournament is everything.
Right. Exactly.
So get to the tournament. A lot of teams. There was a curse actually in the conference for a while. Knox broke it last year, but for the past 5 or 6 years, the host team would lose.
Yeah.
Lake Forest did in 16. I think Knox did in 17. Norbert 18. Knox 19. Dude, it was it happened a lot. So it's no guarantee you win conference you're gonna win the tournament. So, but I was really excited, but I was kind of damn, we've played Knox in the first round.
That felt unfair to me.
Yeah.
As the number 1 seed, to have to play somehow the cards have shuffled to the way that the second best team somehow has finished 4th, and that's who you have to play.
Who wants us?
Right. Who are mad that we beat them.
Bad, yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't like the way that.
No, I didn't either. I was I knew going into the Grinnell game, because Knox had already clinched the 4th spot. Right. It was literally just the top 3 that were still getting decided. And I was okay, we win conference. I want to win conference. That'd be so awesome. But I'm we got Knox.
Yeah.
I'm saying if maybe we tie or we just don't have a good game, then we play probably Ripon in the first round, and it sucks. But I'm we have to go back to Grinnell. Weigh it all up. I'm okay, I want to win conference and be at home. Yeah. At the end of the day. So, yeah, that was. 6 days later we played Knox on Friday morning, and we'll get into that right now. I think we were locked in, ready to go, but I think we were nervous, man.
Yeah, honestly, for me, and this is it's pretty funny, but like I have a very specific pregame routine. I don't like it to be interrupted. And I won that damn academic trophy.
Yeah. I was gonna talk about that too. Yeah, I want to talk about it a little bit also. But yeah, go. Yeah, keep talking about that.
So I had to like, go receive that and stand in front of the crowd and whatnot. And it totally like right before the game.
Yeah,
and it like completely threw me off. And and also, I mean, it's Friday at 11.
I know.
Classes are in session, and there's a ridiculously large student section. Like I was
dude, they were
shocked.
By the second half, it was packed at that game.
And so I just remember it being like, this is one of the biggest crowds I've ever played in, probably the biggest game I've ever played in.
Yeah.
I'm thrown off, I'm nervous, and first half was
we played bad.
Poor.
We played very bad. We gave up a goal. We played bad. I was nervous, man.
Didn't look like a goal threat.
No, not really. No, we had a couple chances, but no, we were bad. We lost the ball a lot, and I think we looked shaky in the back too.
Absolutely.
And I think it started with me. I'm gonna be honest, because I was kind of the oldest guy leader on the team, and I was nervous.
Yeah.
I was nervous. I'm like, dude, like, I'm so excited, but I'm like, I was afraid of losing.
Yeah, we were. I think we were scared of. I think it was part of that feeling from Grinnell the year before when we lost on our home field in that pivotal game. And I think that we carried a little bit of that fear into this game. Like, instead of, we want to win, it was more, we don't want to lose.
Yeah, and especially for me, because it's like, it could be my last game in my career. And how kind of disappointing would it be to win conference and then lose in the first round as the number one seed at home?
Exactly.
That would be really embarrassing. But, the first half wasn't great. We both know that. I think we went to the locker room and we kind of were like, it's us that's like, we're causing the problems. We're scared. I think the second half we came out better. We did give up a goal, but I think we started to look more of a threat.
Yeah, I mean the goal didn't come from like their.
No, it was dumb. It was mistakes up the
right. It was against the run of play for sure.
Yeah.
But either way, we're down 2-0.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, crap, dude. We have like 30 minutes left. We're losing 2-0.
Yeah.
And like, we need to score. But we get one goal. Rand scores with like 15 minutes left there. Good goal. I'm like, okay, let's go. I think the next until Rafa gets the red card, the next 8 to 10 minutes of the game, that was the best we had probably played. We had played the whole game, I think.
Yeah. I was off the field at that point.
Yeah, you got hurt in the first half a little bit.
I got hurt in the first half a little bit, and then in the second half, when we like needed to go more attacking, he took me off.
Yeah, put EFED on, right? To play 6. Or like to play
more like as a second 10.
And I was like, I was sitting.
So I was sitting for Rayon's goal and for the red card.
Okay, yeah.
And then I came back on with like 10 minutes left.
Was that after we got? Was that before
scored on again? Before we got scored on again.
Okay.
And before the second red card.
Yeah, always was like late. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But either way, like at that point, when we're down 3-1, we're down to 9 men. I remember thinking, I was like, well, this sucked.
It sucked. Talk about let's rewind it a little bit, like 10 minutes earlier. The third goal we get scored on, you're on the field then. Just like, what's going on through your head at that point? Because we have 10 minutes left. We're down a player. What's the plan? What are we doing?
I mean, at that point, I was a bit resigned to our fate. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like at that point, I was like, damn, like just threw away number 1 seed in front of this giant crowd.
Yeah.
Huge student section, like all these people I know.
Mm-hmm.
And just got put away 3-1 on our home field. We're down a man. We're down two goals. Like
Johnny Pressburg's hurt.
Like, and then to go down the second person.
That was like the blow. That was the kill, I think. I mean.
Then I'm just like really like, all right, well, at that point the debate in my head is like, so how hard of a tackle do I go into on some random guy now?
Yeah, exactly. Because they were chirping the whole game.
Right,
it
exactly.
was chippy, right?
Exactly.
Sure.
So I'm like, who's gonna say something to me where I'm finally gonna just
like snap on him,
put a full Brexit tackle in?
Yeah, definitely. No, it was really hard for me at that point because I think for me, I don't know if I ever stopped believing. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was thinking like, dude, you have 10 more minutes of your college career.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to give everything. It's like, you give everything, so you leave no regrets about, you couldn't be about the score or whatever, but about your effort.
Sure.
You give everything, because this could be your last competitive college game in front of your family, in front of a crap ton of people, with a crap ton of alumni that I'm very close with that were there.
Right.
I'm like, you're going to give everything, right? So 3-1, 2 minutes left. Not a minute left.
Yeah.
A minute left.
45 seconds.
Yeah, a minute. 45 seconds. We're down to 9 men, 3-1. We get 1 goal back. So I remember the goal. We had crossed it in. It came out to me. I played to Eric at the end line. He crossed it in. It got cleared out. Came to you. You just whip it in.
I was like,
Magic Mateus.
Mateus is in there somewhere.
He just flicks it in, score 3-2.
And in my head at that point, I'm like, all right, we made it respectable.
Yeah, same.
I was like, all right, 3-2. 3-2. At least I just got an assist right in front of the student section. Like they just saw me do something positive, you know. So and 3-2 is it's better than 3-1, and we can say we scored a goal down 2 men. So
looking at it from there. So let's try to recap the next 30 seconds up in till Carl's goal. So they kick off. I think they just kicked it down to us.
So all they had to do was play rondos. Up 2 men for 30 seconds, and they won.
And
the game.
Dude, you literally filled in at that point as a center back.
Pretty much.
Because we had 2 defenders.
And so they played the ball long, and somebody picked it up, and so we sent it back down the field, and went out for a throw in, and I went to take the throw.
And just to be clear, Elliot's got a long throw.
Yeah.
He's got a good long throw, the best long throw on our team by far. So we were you're throwing
it's probably
in the box.
Midway between midfield and the end line.
30-yard line probably about.
Yeah, and there were about 16 seconds left, 18 seconds left. So I just had to try and put one in the box, and luckily I did. And so I'm still, around the 30-yard line, just watching this all happen. So a perfect line.
Mm-hmm.
And one of their guys heads it out, but kind of muffs it. And it just drops straight onto Carl's foot, and I just watch him put his foot through the ball. And like I said, I have the perfect angle on it, so I can tell that as soon as it leaves his foot, if it makes it through
the defenders,
clean, it's going in. And I just remember seeing it go in, and I didn't even know, I could not even comprehend.
Bro, it was insane, dude. I lost my mind.
I mean, suddenly it's 3-3, and then I think I had 10 seconds of that, and then I was like, all right, well, we got to get through these next 15 seconds. I mean, we just scored twice in 30 seconds, so they can score once in 15.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So, and then, so that last 15 seconds was a crazy flip of emotions, because all of a sudden you're so excited, then you have to lock back in again.
Because we can't give up a goal right now.
Right, exactly. So, and then, obviously I have to go to OT, down 2 men.
Let me talk about my perspective real quick of this, because it's a little bit different since could be my last game.
Sure.
I see that you throw the ball in, go to Carl, and I was right at the top of the box, and when I shot it, I was like, dude, this is going in.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, it might go in if it hits the post in the right spot. It's really close.
Right.
And it hit the post and then went in. I was like, I ran. You guys were all celebrating. I just ran over.
The film's so funny because you can see me yelling for you to because you're still up in the stands, and I was you can see me
we gotta go, we gotta get back. It was crazy, and then dude, we get to overtime, we were hyped, but I realized we have to play 20 minutes, we have 9
down 2 men,
so we'll talk about this a lot, but I remember going over and I asked Dan and Tim what are we doing? We lost Rafa and Johnny,
and Alexis.
And Alexis. We were we're missing 3/4 of our starting back line. Come up with a starting 9. You played on I think either the right or left side of the 3 in the midfield. Yeah. I was in the middle.
Yeah, we played a 3-3.
It was a 4-3-1.
4-3-1.
Yeah, and just tell me about that first half of the overtime, the huddle, whatever, how. Yeah, I think we were hyped. We were
hyped. Yeah,
we were dude, we get this PKs, we're gonna win.
Yeah, that was our. I mean, that was our only goal. Really,
it was. Yeah.
I mean, we had one defend 20 minutes, get to PKs. That was it, and then we thought we were gonna win on PKs.
Yeah.
I mean, that was basically the huddle.
For sure.
Just get it to PKs.
Yeah.
So, and then for we've been playing in OT for about 90 seconds. And then for Rayon to intercept that pass.
Oh, that second. Dude, I passed him the ball.
Oh, so you intercepted the pass.
So it was the second half of OT.
No, it was the first half.
No, it was the second
Oh,
half.
you're right. So we've
played 10 minutes, shut him out.
So the first half has completely just disappeared from my memory because it was like,
dude,
I in my head, I've gone straight from the ending to Rayon's.
We literally defended for 10 minutes.
I was like blacked out that.
But they were not a threat.
No, they weren't.
Every corner they had hit right to Simon.
So I remember because that first half is when I first started to feel calf cramps come on.
I bet, dude.
I was just like, and I remember I had one throw in because I basically went to every throw in no matter where because we just wanted to get it as far away as possible, and I like to consider myself a pretty good time waster. And I remember like thinking like I did one long throw in and my calf just seized up, and I was just like, there's no shot I'm getting like through 12 more minutes of this, but I was like, but I have to. So that was the first half, and then
So we get to the second half. We have like 2 minutes break. We're exhausted.
Yeah.
I mean, I played the whole game up to that point. You basically played the whole game,
right.
Maybe like 10 minutes on the bench or whatever. But I was exhausted. I'm like, dude, okay, just like I was starting to say on the field to everybody like it's just mental.
Right. Exactly.
It's not like physical. Don't think. It's just like, can we stay locked in, keep the ball in front of us, whatever.
Yeah.
The goal. I mean, I remember the goal like really clearly because they had no pressure on him. Right. They're like switching it, and then the kid trying to play it into the middle, like up to their striker, kind of by the top of the box.
Yeah.
And I was like, but it was a horrible pass.
Right.
Passed it right to me. I had no pressure on. So I just took a touch. Rand's making like a diagonal run.
Mm-hmm.
He's like 20 yards away from me. He's at midfield. Just pass him the ball, and then I just start kind of jogging forward.
Yeah.
He's like,
I was just hoping he'd take it maybe hold it in like the corner or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
for like
yeah,
2
same,
minutes,
yeah.
so we could like breathe.
yeah,
basically.
exactly. Yeah, I'm like, all right, I don't know what he's gonna do, and then he just like winds up and shoots it. And I was
Yeah.
like, when he started to wind up, I'm like, who the hell is he passing it to?
Yeah, I was so confused.
And then he
for
just
a second.
shot it, and then like this kid scores a 50-yard chip.
Yeah.
In double overtime of a conference tournament game.
Go
like,
4-3.
To go 4-3 with
down
5
2
players,
men.
dude. The reaction that me and you had was so funny though, because he scores and
Kid doesn't know how to celebrate.
He doesn't know how to celebrate, but me and you beeline for the student section.
Yeah, we
were
both
just like
up there, like
I just followed you, and then I was like, "What are we doing?"
I was like, well, because I was trying to tell him, I was like, Ray, I'll go see. And then he's like, well, if he's not going, I'm going.
Yeah,
so
I'm like, I'm following you, so we're just going. I was already running that way anyway.
Yeah,
so
I was like,
let's
well,
just keep
I'm going.
That was crazy. That was.
Yeah, and then just had to. I remember there was one point. There was probably like 4 minutes left where they had a shot, and I like lunged out and got to it. Simon probably would have got there, but I like got there first, and that's when my calf like completely went, and it was like a horrible cramp, and I like couldn't move my leg, and I'm screaming. I'm like, Simon, you gotta extend my leg. Like I can't extend my leg. Like my calf like looks like it's like all the way up here. And I'm like, he's like doing it, and then I look over to the bench. And I see like Tim and Dan are talking, and then they like go and grab a sub for me. And I remember I got up and I looked at Dan and Tim on the bench, and I was like, if you take me out of this game, I swear to God I'm gonna lose it.
Yeah,
I was like, I will get through the next 4 minutes.
You've given too much
I
in
know.
the game so far to get taken off.
I was like, I will give you the next 4 minutes. Just do not take me out of this game. And they didn't.
Yeah.
And I barely made it through the next
crazy.
4 minutes. But
Dude, that was crazy. And then when the final whistle blew, we all ran over to the student section.
Yeah.
Scenes were unreal.
But it's like the same
hyped.
exact thing as the first Grinnell game. It's like we've done this crazy thing, but it's like still more to do.
Still more to do, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure, bro. It's still only the first step.
Yeah.
It's not even the final.
Exactly.
I wish it was the final, though, because of how
That would have been a crazy final.
But, yeah, dude, like, we got to play tomorrow.
Exactly.
And I remember after the game, like, obviously we were celebrating on the field. There was, like, we were mobbing, dude, by, like, the student section, all, like, hugging each other and stuff, and said hi to the alumni and whatever. But I knew we both know that, like, dude, we got a game tomorrow, and
yeah, you and I went straight to the we were one of the first people on the field, like straight
to ice bath, because we both know we're like, dude, we're playing 90 tomorrow.
Yeah,
and we both played over like 100 minutes today.
Yeah,
like we gotta be ready.
So we went straight. I mean, because it was like the same thing. Like, all right, celebrate, and then we went straight to
for sure.
Had to go play tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. So just talk to me about that night when you're like going to sleep. getting ready for tomorrow? What are you thinking?
Oh,
about?
dude, I barely slept. Like,
Really?
yeah, dude, I was so nervous. Like,
Okay.
because, I mean, everything that had just happened, and then, like, just the anticipation of, like, playing the next day. I was so nervous.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
I maybe slept, like, consecutively, like, 2 hours, and I would just,
Wow.
like, wake up and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like I was like I would think, like, wake up, and then my mind's like, all right, like all right, what happens if this, like, what, like, and it's like
It's
just all, like,
overthinking,
the
yeah.
game, like, you just can't stop thinking about it, like,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, so that night I didn't sleep.
Yeah,
like, I was
yeah.
just so I couldn't come down from, like, what had just happened, and then, like, the knowing that tomorrow was even bigger. Yeah, I would. And then I woke up and I was like, so, I mean, because I usually get nauseous before a game, like butterflies or whatever, but dude, that, like,
It was a different game.
it was a different feeling.
It's like the biggest game that the field had seen for our team in like 10 years.
Yeah.
Because the final of the conference tournament hadn't been played in Lake Forest in 10 years.
Right.
So it's like, it's a big game, you know. For me, like, that night, dude, I was surprisingly calm.
Yeah.
I think I was like, I just knew we were gonna win after what we did today. Even though, like, Rafa's out, Johnny's out, Ollie's out, I don't know why. I just knew we were gonna win.
Yeah.
I, like, knew we were gonna win, and obviously I was still, like, nervous and stuff, but I was way less nervous going into that game than the Knox game.
Yeah,
I really was.
I think it was it wasn't the team. I was more nervous to play Knox than I was to play Grinnell. I think it was just, like, the scope and magnitude of the game, where I was just like, damn, like, this is real now. Like, this is you got one shot at this. Like,
yeah, exactly. And it's like, if you lose, it's embarrassing.
Like, not like, I think, like, the biggest thing was, like, all right, if I lose, like, if we lose tomorrow, none of this, like, exciting stuff mattered.
Yeah, true.
Like, nobody cares if you come back in that game and do that crazy thing if you don't solidify it.
Yeah, you're second.
Then it's just you won the semifinal in a cool way.
Congrats. But
cool, man.
You're not getting a trophy.
Yeah, way to get, like, the runners up in the conference.
Yeah, exactly. To a team that you had already beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that Grinnell game, we were missing some key players, but
Yeah.
we still had a lot of core in the team, bro. Of course. I was ready. I was tired. I'm not gonna lie. I bet you were tired. I was tired, but again, I was like, dude, screw it. We gotta just it's again give everything to this game. This is the biggest game that we both have ever played in.
Right.
Know? I've been dreaming about this exact moment playing at home in the conference tournament final for my entire time.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you know,
like, my whole dream since I was a kid was, I mean, I knew college soccer was where it ended for me, so I was playing the NCAA tournament. Like, that was
it's same with that too. Yeah, making it, and I'm like, this is my last chance, dude. I get one, or I'm never going in my life, right? And so that game, I think that we can talk about the atmosphere. Great crowd. The wind was horrible.
Horrid weather.
The worst wind I've ever played in.
50-mile-an-hour gusts.
Crazy.
Vertically along the field.
And we got the shitty end in the first half.
Which I think was awesome.
Definitely.
I think once we got through the first half with the win, I think we were pretty confident that.
I knew we were gonna win though. Yeah. I was like, we're fine, even though it's 1-1, we're fine. That's so I want to talk about now how you helped me out in this game.
Yeah.
So Mateus gets fouled in the box.
Right.
We get a penalty. I kind of took a spot, but that wasn't my decision.
Yeah, no,
New PK taker.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably just because, like, I don't know, I'm the oldest player or whatever, they trust me. And I had been making them in practice a lot over the last 2 weeks. I might have missed one in, like, 2 weeks. I was confident, but I was nervous. You ran over and you're like, calm down.
Yeah.
You got it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you just take a couple of deep breaths.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, I could tell you were nervous, but, like, I knew as soon as I, like, would just remind you, like, you know, what you do in practice every day.
Yeah.
You know, it's literally no different.
No, yeah, exactly.
You know, we had the best goalkeeper in the conference. You score on him, then this dude.
This guy's dusty.
So
Exactly.
Like,
that guy calmed me down so much, bro.
Yeah.
And I was ready to step up, put it in. Great. Well, but no, it was awesome, you know, for special moment for me and for the whole team I was like, all right, we got a goal, let's go. But yeah, we got scored on. We can talk a little bit about that, like what you felt after that, right when they scored, because it was like 10 minutes left in the first half.
I was mad. I mean, because we were so close to getting out of that half, playing against the win 1-0, which would have just been massive. I wanted to get out of there with 0-0, and to get out of it 1-0 would have been incredible. It would have been massive. And then, to give up this fluky. I mean, the only reason that ball goes to the back of the net is because it's being propelled by a 50.
I know, yeah, dude. It wasn't even like a hard header.
I mean, the guy
just,
loops this header that stays at the same height
and it's
all the way into the goal.
Yeah,
and so, I mean, that was so frustrating because it's like we were so close to getting out of the half 1-0 up, and then I would have really felt confident. That
I'm like, we would have locked it up for sure in the second half,
But it's not the way I felt. So going to half 1-1, all to do. But I mean, I felt the same thing that you did. I felt, okay, 1-1 now. I knew we were gonna win the game.
Yeah. I was like, a goal will come. I didn't know it was gonna come 20 seconds left.
Yeah.
But I knew it was gonna come eventually.
Yeah. I just remember because I had the one shot that the guy made the crazy.
Yeah,
save on
you had some good shots that half. You had another header too, that for corner of mine.
Yeah.
That like it hit the goalpost of the football.
I think back to back. It was like off that. I had the crazy shot that he made a world class save on.
That was crazy.
And then it was the next corner. I put it off the crossbar.
Yeah, and then it hit like the football post and was like out. And I was like, damn.
And I just remember as the half went on, the fatigue was just so
it was there
crazy because my legs just felt like jello. I mean, just the amount of work we put in, and then over the past 2 days running into the wind. I mean, it was no joke. And
I think I'm gonna be honest, another thing, not having Rafa and Johnny back there, I just didn't trust our back. So I was way more nervous.
Absolutely.
So I was like, dude, every time we lose the ball, if I'm up, beeline back because we gotta cover these guys because Grinnell was a great counterattacking team.
Exactly.
That's their strengths.
Really
Noah and Dylan Maggs, those guys are fast.
Yeah, they're
skilled,
players.
and they're gonna cook.
Yeah.
Our center backs if we are not good in front of them, right?
Yeah.
So it was stressful, for sure.
I just remember. So I mean, obviously there was a point. I was with about a minute left where I was kind of just resigned to the fact that we were going to go to overtime.
I was too. I think it happened earlier for me. I was maybe 5 minutes left.
And I was just
we're probably going to OT.
And I had no idea how I was going to make it through OT. I just remember sitting there thinking, dude, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I can, my legs feel like jello right now. I can't feel them when I run. I don't know how I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I was in the far corner of the field because I just cleared a ball, and then there's a minute left. So I was like, I'm not getting up because I'm tired. Whatever. And then somehow the ball goes out of bounds, pretty much 10 yards from their end line. And so I'm like,
you got to go all the way to the end. You're taking the throw.
So it's I got to do this. I got to rev myself up for this full field sprint. I'm exhausted. So I get there and there's 12 seconds left, 16 seconds left, whatever, something like that. Long throw. And somehow, I was able to put it on Rayon's chest, whatever. And he, moment of magic again on the half turn, puts it in.
Dude, insane, yeah.
So it was, and then to win, and that way again, and then finally get to actually celebrate something. And
we did it, bro. This
and
is the dream,
there's nothing else to I mean, obviously, whatever happens, the NCAA tournament happens, but this, actually, we finally there's not something. We don't have to turn around and be all right, refocus right away. We finally can actually enjoy
for a few days
something that we won. So
absolutely, yeah. That's awesome. That's great to hear. And yeah, dude, that throw was. Again, this guy, we were clutching up with points, bro.
Dude, I was so
I don't know
exhausted.
Why. You ran down, threw it in, another assist, bro. I scored a goal. The Sixers were for some reason waited the entire year to start getting stacked. It was awesome. We're clutching up at the right moment, but. Yeah, that second half was, for me, it was brutal. And you remember I got hurt for a little bit?
Yeah, you were out.
I kicked Kay's foot.
Yeah.
And I thought for a second, it's the ankle that I broke. And I was like, I kicked it and it hurt a lot. Yeah. I was like, I haven't felt this in a long, since I broke it. I was like, this is not good. And I was limping for a few minutes. I came off, I was screaming for Lewis. I'm like, where's this dude at? He's got to take care of me right now. But then I came back on a few minutes later. Thank God.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a grind that half. I think we had moments where we played good, but moments where we were a little bit nervous. Yeah, it was dicey. Simon made a big save with
huge save.
10 minutes left or something against Bill, and if he would have scored that goal, the game definitely could have been over. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and then Rand scores, and we all again student section.
New favorite way to celebrate.
That's so fire, and there were so many people there. Yeah, there were so many people there, and then I remember when the final whistle blew, for some reason, they cleared it down to us, and Rain cleared it. Of course, it was him off a Grinnell guy went out of bounds.
Yeah.
You ran over to take it. I'm like jumping around, get to midfield. He's like 3, 2, 1. I just fall down. I'm like, we did it, bro. And then we get up and back over to the student section, and it was so awesome. Like for me to be like a senior and end the season like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
obviously, we played in a national tournament. It didn't go very well. We
Is
need
what
to
it
talk about
was,
that much, but
I was just happy to be there.
yeah, and I was happy to be there too. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
I didn't have high expectations. Obviously, we had all the injuries, we had the suspensions, and I was just happy to be there.
No, it was awesome, but it was a great way to wrap the season up.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, like that lifting the trophy was insane.
Yeah.
You got to wear the armband that game too.
Got to wear the armband.
Let's talk about that. How special was to wear the armband in that game?
Oh, it was insane. I mean, after everything I felt like I'd been through, like up until that point, in the biggest game of my life, get to wear the C on my arm was like, I mean, it was awesome. It was emotional, for sure.
Yeah, it was sick, dude. We were both next to each other wearing the C's, dude. It was sick. No, for me too. Like all this stuff I'd been through too. You know, I've been there for years, right? And being coming up close as a team and not winning, and then having a bad season and going through like a big transformation, which like I've talked about on this channel a bunch, and I will continue to talk about it because I just think you put in work, dude, like you will get better. And if you believe in yourself and work hard and everyone, like you can get better. And I think I'm a great example of that. We had a bad season last year. I got hurt. My career could have been over. But I was like, I'm coming back because we got unfinished business. And to win in that game, to score in that game, my first goal the whole year.
Right.
Even if it was a penalty.
Who cares?
It's a goal on the stat sheet. So
Absolutely.
It was insane. So that was a great way to wrap my career up. And for you guys, man, just have a great season. To come back with the same squad. So, I mean, we're going to wrap it up in a couple minutes. I just got a couple more questions, shorter questions that we're going to ask. So, next season, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but I want to talk to you now you're in way more of a leadership position now too, right?
Yeah.
You're a senior. Again, like, I'm not saying I'm the end-all, be-all, but I was, like, a big leader for the team last year. Now I'm gone, and you're in an important position on the field as a 6. You're in the middle of the field. You got to talk a lot, which you do. So you're looked up to as a leader for sure. What do you think you bring as a leader that's good? And what do you think that you can work on to become a better leader? Because again, the season doesn't start for a few months.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that is a positive for me is that I'm kind of willing to adopt like the bad cop role and like good cop, bad cop in terms of our other guys that are leaders. This during spring, like I was always on people about like not being a lift, like not being whatever just up there. Which I mean, obviously a lot of times like irritate guys, whatever, but I'm okay with that. And because at the end of the day, like I just want what's best for them, and I want them to be the best player they can be.
For sure.
And I've seen what's worked for me, so I just want, if they're going to be frustrated with me about it, so be it. I think that they'll come around to realize it's a positive in the end. I think for me to work on, like I still a lot of times will go within myself during practice, during games, if I'm playing poorly or
sometimes
whatever.
You check out,
and so I think that I think the biggest thing for me to work on as I really have to like grow into that role is just being this same leader when I'm playing well and when think that I'm playing poorly. I think that's the biggest thing.
For sure. Well, it's really that's great to hear because like it's good that you can realize that what you're like need to work on. And even if you wear an armband or not, you are going to be like a very important leader on this team. And like I think for me last year, I wasn't a captain, but I still feel like I brought a lot of leadership to the team. And I'll talk a little bit about my leadership experience now because I was obviously like probably our main captain last year, main voice. And I think in the spring, I at first I dealt with situations sometimes in the wrong way for sure. I just think I was like, I'm a very obsessive person about stuff. Like I care a lot, dude. I mean, you know me, like bro, I work out. I'm like obsessive with working out and playing and stuff. Like, and when people aren't like that, it does like get on me sometimes, And I handled situations in the wrong way. And over the summer, like watch videos on like leadership and like guys that were great leaders and how like Jocko Willing talking about like being accountable and like how to become a better leader. And I think when I came back in the fall, I was a lot better with dealing with different players on the team when I needed to deal with them in a certain way, you know, like I wasn't always like just getting on people like screaming at them. Obviously I still did that. It's my personality. You know that, bro. Like of course. I'll admit it. Like I get on people, but I think I was better at dealing with certain people in certain situations. And reading people too. I know I can scream at Eric because me and him are close. We're tight, bro. He never takes it personally, but somebody else on the team, if I scream at them who I'm not as close with, that don't respond that way, it just makes me look bad, you know, and it's not good for the team, right? So, and I think another thing I learned as a leader was, you're not gonna be liked by everybody at all. You know, you can't. That's not something you should want as a leader. Like, you should have a goal that you want to take the team to, and obviously the goal for us is like win a conference championship. That's gonna be your guys' goal again, and you guys have higher goals. I mean, let's get to the Sweet 16 NCAA tournament for you guys. I mean, that should definitely it's a goal and it should be, you know, for sure. But just having everybody realize that that's what we're working toward. You know, it's not so much about you, but it's like how can we get there? You know, and sometimes you might have to do stuff and say stuff that not everybody's gonna like, but people are gonna respect you. Right. It's about respect. You know, I didn't care that. Obviously some guys on the team last year probably didn't like me, and that's fine. I don't care. I think they respected me though for like the work I put in and the player that I was, you know, on the field. And
I agree.
And you're exactly like the same way. Like some guys might not like you because you do get on people, and that's fine. I don't have no problem with that, but they respect you for like what you've done and how much you care about just being successful. Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, I just want what's best for them, what's best for the team.
Yeah, and
for
sure.
If that means you know, I mean, you don't have to like me right now, but I promise you're gonna like holding up the conference championship trophy. I promise you're gonna like.
You remember last year?
So
like we know how sick it is.
You don't have to like me right now, but you're gonna like me when we're holding that trophy.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it's a bigger picture at the end of the day. It's not about the little like bullshit or whatever. It's like we have a goal. Let's try to get to it. You know, for sure. So, dude, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Okay. That was awesome. Yeah. I'm so excited for you guys next season.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be great.
I'm really excited. I know you guys have a great core of the team already. Yeah. Coach Tim is gonna do a great job. Great recruiting class. It's all about staying hungry, and I know you guys will. Yeah, for sure.
It's gonna be sick.
Elliot, bro, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, this was a fantastic episode. It's gonna be a lot longer than the last one, but that's great. So, episode 2, TK Podcast was fantastic. I got another guest coming on for next week, but this is going to drop on Sunday the 21st. There'll also be clips from it, so get ready for it, guys.
Yes, sir.
All right.